Today. Uh, right. Computers, in the problem times. It's going to the program, it's going to the program now. We pick up discussions, various presentations, and insights. Just multiple speakers. Presentation, zero commission, tribalism. Yes, let's start. Oh, God. There's not a. So we start now. We should wait for people to arrive. Activity. Right, it's working. I'll just quickly go through this. Um, right. Good morning. I don't know if everybody is fully settled, if everyone is here already. Maybe I'm just going to give 5 minutes to maybe those who haven't arrived so that everybody can settle and we start with the program of the day. Thank you. Good morning once again, everyone. I think the 5 minutes I'd given everybody has lapsed, so we can now start with the program of the day. Please, everybody, get settled. We're starting now. Thank you. Good morning once again. How is everyone today? Thank you. I'm also fine. My name is Ramabaga Tuso. I'm from the Ismail Mohammed Center for Human Rights based at the University of Venda. I'm going to be your facilitator for the day. I would like to start by acknowledging and thanking all of you for our wonderful stakeholders, just for taking your time to come and be with us and share your thoughts and insight on the impact of tribalism. I would like to also acknowledge the presence of our highly esteemed traditional leaders religious leaders, leadership from the Human Rights Commission, fellow colleagues from the University of Venda, all government and non-government entities, all protocol observed. Thank you. Please feel free and welcome to engage and participate in the discussions as you have been yesterday and the day before. Today is our final day where we will conclude on the issue of tribalism with solutions from all of you, our stakeholders. Thank you. As per today's program, I'm going to just take everybody through a quick recap of yesterday's proceedings, and then we will then commence with the official program. Thank you. As per the program, as we all were here, we listened and we noted down. We had our keynote address by our South African Human Rights Commissioner. We had an address by our provincial manager, Mr. Victor Mavidura. He was telling us about the mandate of the Human Rights Commission, giving us a background of this occasion, what led to this occasion, and what are we trying to achieve in this conference. We had a presentation from the IEC. They were talking about the impact of municipal demarcation on social cohesion, a very impactful and powerful presentation that I'm confident that we all learned from, as we did with the other presentations that were held. We also had a presentation on the impact of tribalism on inclusivity programs for persons with disability by Mr. Silalelo Makato. You will all recall that from this presentation, the takeaway thing that I still recall is the fact that we were told that when we host programs like this, we are also supposed to consider people with disabilities. We should give them a platform to be able to speak and be included. We also had a presentation from the Seattle Commission on the impact of tribalism on cultural, religious, and linguistic communities. It was also a very rich and powerful presentation that I'm confident we all learned from. We had a further presentation from the University of Venda on the impact of tribalism in places of higher learning. And you will all agree with me that from that presentation, the takeaway thing was that we learned that institutions of higher learning are structured in such a way that they build social cohesion. And in the end, Ms. Mokwena, she concluded with a very powerful message to all of us to say, we have started, we should start, to fight against this tribalism. We also have a presentation from the University of Limpopo on the topic of tribalism as a threat to social stability in South Africa. It was a very powerful presentation, as you will all recall. I remember Prof told us yesterday, she highlighted to all of us the fact that she's an African. We are all Africans, and as Africans, we shouldn't see each other as we shouldn't look at each other differently. We should be able to embrace each other as Africans as much as we're embracing our culture. We had a further presentation by the president of the Limpopo Chamber of Commerce and Industry. It was a very impactful and powerful presentation. As you will all recall, he was trying to clarify and conscientize us on the fact that, to an extent, we need a bit of tribalism so that we can maintain cultural, identity, but at the same time, we try to eliminate, toxic tribalism. We had a further presentation from Ms. A. Magoro, a PhD student from the University of Venda. She addressed us on tribalism as a threat to human rights, social cohesion, and stability in Limpopo. It was a very insightful um, presentation with her reiterating and emphasizing the fact that we are one, and we shouldn't put ourselves in positions where we are just tolerating each other, but we should be able to accept each other as African people. We had a further presentation by the Director General, Office of the Premier Limpopo, on the government's mechanism for addressing tribalism challenges in the province. And the next one, which was supposed to be done by Ms. MD Ramakopa, we didn't have it. I'm hoping we're going to have it today. I heard that you'll be available today. We had a further presentation on the role of religious leaders in building social cohesion from Reverend Mauchi Pataki. Uh, my apologies if I'm not pronouncing the names well. As with the others, it was a very powerful and impactful presentation that I believe all of us have learned from. We had a further presentation by Vamsanda Wachimange, standing in place of Hosi Madonsi, on the role of traditional leaders in building social cohesion against tribalism. What she did was she was taking us through the issues that traditional leaders are facing. Yes, thank you. And we had a further presentation on the role of local municipality. It was a very impactful, presentation. We were getting clarity regarding what exactly happened um, during the Malamulele strike. We got clarity that the key source was never tribalism, but a lack of service delivery, by government. She also highlighted the fact that her office is constituted by, people of different culture, people of different languages, to showcase, the diversity and the fact that they are practicing social cohesion. Thank you. And that is all for the presentations that were had yesterday. After those presentations, you will recall that we went further to break into commissions. I gave, we formed 3 different commissions that were tasked with the responsibility to go and discuss, try to find solutions in terms of the tasks that were presented to each and every one of these commissions. So without further ado, we're going to proceed with today's program just after this quick recap. Thank you. The next item that we're going to go to right now is the report back, from the commissions that we formed yesterday. And we will have Ms. Mankese, she will facilitate this particular session of the breaking into the commissions, where the commissions will report back. So without further ado, Ms. Mankese, please and thank you.
Thank you very much, Tuso. Like he has already alluded to the issue of the report back, I'll just give you 5 minutes wherein you polish up. Akiri, you know I have all the lists of everyone who was in which commission. And as I give you the 5 minutes, we also prepared to hear from Me Veronica Mkhonyana, who's representing the provincial government, that is both taking both from the DG and the HOD to give us the mechanism of addressing tribalism challenges in the province, and also sharing the mandate of the Department of Sport, Arts and Culture on the promotion of social cohesion in the province. So we're going to listen to her first. I'm sure you will infuse some of what she will be talking to on the commissions that you were working in. And thereafter, we will then quickly do the report back. I'm sure you understand what I'm saying. May Veronica give me a signal when you are ready, and then we can take it from there. But in the meantime, people can just revisit all their recommendation and what they were talking on yesterday. Thank you so much, Tuso. I'm sure you also remember the tasks that you were given. Some were almost similar, but not very the same. So please, when you then give us the feedback, make sure you talk to the issues. Veronica, are you ready? Yes, Veronica is ready. She's coming to the podium. You can bring your gadgets, and then I'll take the seat.
Thank you very much, Program Director of the day. And would like to take this opportunity to appreciate the invitation we have received as the Department of Sport, Arts and Culture, representing the department that is responsible to drive social cohesion and nation building in the province, but also in particular representing the provincial government. We've also been sent by the Director General, Mr. Napin Chabeling, to share with you the necessities of promoting social cohesion and nation building in the province, but also in particular, just looking at tribalism as one hindrance of the promotion of social cohesion and nation building, and looking at how we are trying to deal with it in the province, and also just sharing with you the mechanisms that we are trying to put in place. But most importantly, I think we are also, looking forward to receive from you recommendations and ideas on how we can actually promote social cohesion and nation building in the province. Like I've been introduced, my name is Khatani Veronica Mkhonyana. I'm responsible for social cohesion in the Department of Sport, Arts and Culture, but also I'm responsible for cultural affairs, which actually looks into areas of arts and culture in its totality, but also we look at museums and heritage, library and information services, archive services. When you are looking forward to archive your documents, we are the department that is responsible to do that. We are also the department that is responsible for the promotion of language services in the province. And we are also responsible for, moral regeneration and the preservations of the many museums that you see in the province. Protocol is observed. I understand that it has been done importantly yesterday, but all the most important, distinguished delegation and guests that are here, I honor you and I'm extending our warm greetings from this far. I'll quickly then take you through the presentation, and I will not actually take time. I'm trying to open it here because I believe that it has been flagged and you're all seeing it, but in my gadget, I think I'm having a slight problem of opening it. Just give me a second. I will be doing so. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I think I'm now able to walk through the gadget and also walk with you when you'll be looking at the slides. Social cohesion is very broad, and I'm quite sure that all right. Thank you so much. I'm being orientated here. Our humble apologies also, we should have delivered the paper yesterday, but there were many pressing matters that forced us not to deliver it yesterday, but to deliver it today. I'm quite sure that I'm very audible. I'm going to quickly look into the background and the profile of the province. How are we faring in terms of social cohesion and nation building? And in short, what is exactly social cohesion and what is nation building? And what are the constitutional basis of social cohesion and nation building? And we are going to actually marry this with human rights. And we're also going to quickly look at the objectives and go back and look at tribalism as a hindrance to social cohesion and look at what is currently being done in the province and what we intend also to do, especially that I understand that from the delegation, we've got various traditional authorities that are represented and that will actually assist. And I regret that we missed the presentation of the traditional authorities that was actually done yesterday. I'm quite sure that Ken said the slides are moving. If they're not moving, you can help me to do that. Okay, thank you very much. They are moving, but a little bit slow. Before 1994, when we attained a freedom, we know very well that we inherited, a society that is, racially and ethnically, divided. You know very well that those that came before us, when we were still being ruled by the apartheid system, we were racially and ethnically divided. And they divided, intentionally by using, homelands. There was Leboa government in Limpopo, there was Gazankulu, there was Venda. We were actually divided. And when we were divided, we actually learned how to live on our own as the Bapedi, and how to live on our own as the Vendas, and how to live at our own as the Tongas or Shangans, and how to live at our own as Botswana down there in Waterberg. And that actually racially divided us. And I think that it's very much important just to go back to it, though we know that we know it, but we need to go back to it because it forms as a background, as a breeding ground that actually birthed intolerance, and that actually birthed hatred, and that actually birthed a disintegrated society. I'll take, for example, that before 1994, before the new dispensation, when I was actually in Leboa, you cannot actually move freely and go to Venda. You'll actually even say, no, balikiba Venda, baleka kwa kimatsonga, and that actually breed or birth intolerance and hatred and disintegration, amongst us as society. So you can understand where we come from. And racially divided and an equal society obviously cannot actually guarantee peace and stability in the province, and cannot actually, guarantee a socially cohesive society, or cannot actually, guarantee a peaceful and a society that will live in peace and that will live as a united society. So we've got a much work to do in terms of nation building and social cohesion, because we come from that a kind of a society. So then there was a call in this new dispensation. The president made a call, and obviously in our province, the premier made a call that we need now then to develop what you call the Limpopo social cohesion and nation building strategy, so that we can then at the end of the day ensure that we unite Limpopo as a province, and we ensure that we promote that living in peace and in harmony, and that we actually move towards tolerating each other. You can help Mankese to move the slides so that the audience is with me here. Because I'm trying to move it and it doesn't actually do that. Thank you very much. So we were tasked in 2019. Thank you very much. We were tasked in 2019 to actually develop the strategy. Let me tell you and let me share with you that it was actually very difficult to develop that strategy. We had to call everybody in the province. We had to call the civil society. We had to call women societies of women structures. We had to call even a human rights commission. We had to call the gender commission. We had to call everybody. We had to call our disability society. We had to call the traditional authorities. We had to call churches. We had to call faith-based organization to be in one house. That was back in 2019 and in 2022. We called a conference like this. It happened in Tibeka, and we had to listen to everybody, and everybody actually made a contribution as to how we can build Limpopo as one cohesive society. Those contributions were then taken into account, and we then developed a Limpopo, a social cohesion strategy. And that is a strategy that we are actually implementing now. It was approved by the provincial EXCO that is being headed by the premier, and in 2020, and it's about to actually end in 2025. That means in 2024, then we have got a task now to revise it, to check ourselves on how far are we? How have we fared in implementing this strategy? Are we now living as a socially cohesive society? And I think those are the things that we can discuss in our commissions. Are we really united as a province? When I look at Mupedi person, do I take him or her as a brother or sister? When I go to Venda, do I feel at home? Or when I get a post in Venda and I'm supposed to work in the Vembe district, in the Department of Transport, will I feel at home? Or will I then receive that kind of an attitude that no, or when I go to deep down in Skukune at Mafefe, if I'm a Shangaan speaking person and I'm a Tsonga, when I get there, will I then be looked at that kind of an attitude that I come from that, I'm a Tsonga speaking, therefore I cannot actually, work very well at Mafefe? Do we still have those kind of issues? We are trying to make a study of that, and we find still that there are those kind of elements that are still rising. We have not really fared well in terms of uniting at the province. That level of tribalism is actually still there. But social cohesion, what is social cohesion and what does it cause us to do? So as a department that is being tasked to lead in social cohesion, and I know that maybe you might have heard the explanation yesterday, but it's a degree of social integration. It's a simple degree of integration. That even if I'm a Pedi speaking person, or I'm born a Mupedi, a girl, but I can actually tolerate my brother who's Venda and my brother who's Ndebele. And I cannot even actually look down upon the language that he or she is speaking. So it simply means a degree of social integration, that we need to be integrated, we need to be as one and tolerate each other, but at the same time have those kind of relationships. And it means inclusion in communities and in societies at large. That our communities now, am I free to go and get a stand at Mafefe coming from Venda? And I'm glad that we've got traditional authorities that are invited here. How do we go in such a way that we then ensure that we integrate our society, that even if I'm a Shangaan, I can live at Seshego? And I think Seshego has done very well. When you go to Seshego, many other many other, yes, I think my tongue now is rolling. I think when you go to Seshego, you'll find a beautiful integration. I met one brother there that I worked with him in sport and recreation. And I worked with him for many years. But one day he got, he had a wedding at home. And he said, no, I'm not going to do the wedding here. I still have to go home in Guyana. I said, but do you really? And how long have you lived here? I said, no, all these years. And I've never been looked upon as a Tsonga speaking person. I'm even speaking Pedi fluently, but my children are doing Tsonga in school. That's an integration that we need. But are we only seeing it in townships? Are we only seeing it in town? And sometimes in town, it's not even visible. How do we then integrate our society? And social cohesion, again, it simply means a community that is, or a society that is cohesive, that in its extent, it can actually ensure that it improves inequalities, and it actually, it doesn't promote exclusions, it doesn't promote disparities based on ethnicity, based on gender, based on class, based on race, based on nationality, based on age, based on disability, or any other form of distinctions that you can actually come with. So that is social cohesion. A simple means, a simple definition that we have to be, live in an integrated manner, beyond class, beyond gender, beyond ethnicity, beyond race, beyond nationality, beyond age, and beyond disability. But it goes further. We don't only end at social cohesion, but we also end at nation building. That when you then move with social cohesion, how do you then build this nation? Yes, we are living in an integrated manner, but then how do you then promote nation building? And nation building is a process whereby a society, given its diverse origins. For example, Limpopo, we know very well that we are so much diverse, beautifully diverse, and we call it culturally diverse. Diverse in origin, in histories, in languages, in culture, and in religion. There's a Pedi, there's Tsonga, diverse in culture. But how do we then come about and build this nation and promote nation building beyond the boundaries of our different origins, our different culture, and our different languages? And how do we foster unity? And how do we promote a level of consciousness and a sense of being proudly belonging to Limpopo or belonging to the country? So that is nation building, that we have to actually, strive to build this nation so that our generation that is coming does not see a Venda speaking person, or does not see a Tsonga speaking person, even though he knows that my brother is speaking Tsonga and is a Tsonga, but he's able to embrace that brother or that sister beyond different languages, or beyond different culture, or beyond different religion. And we know that given religion, especially now, we've got so many religions that we belong to. And again, we have to also embrace our traditional, those that actually are from the, promoting the traditional culture. So in the Constitution, we know that South Africa belongs to all who live in it and united in diversity. So we have to promote unity in diversity. I'll move faster. But then the step to promote social inclusion. And that's where I like it, because it actually, bring in human rights. And we've got 5 steps. That of visibility. We start with being visible, consideration, access to social interaction, human rights, and at the end of it all, access to resources. And what do we mean when we say visibility? Visibility, it's when you need to be noticed as a person. You have realized that's why we term that slide social cohesion and human rights. And I'm still coming to tribalism. If you are not noticed as a person, your rights are actually being stamped upon. So we need to be noticed. If I'm a Venda speaking person and I come to a room and Kibulela my Shivenda, I don't need to be looked down upon. So visibility, you might take it as a soft issue and you might actually undermine it. But if you don't actually notice the existence of a human being or the existence of a person, that actually does not promote social cohesion. It actually hinders the human right of that person, which basically it then builds up to a hindrance to social cohesion. How do I live a happy life and how do I cohere with you if you don't actually notice me as a Pedi speaking person and raise a point? No, ke kgopela hore le emele ke nyaka go raise this kind of a point, and o bona o kare ga ke namele ke exista as a person. So that is a hindrance to social cohesion. So we don't have to undermine it. I'm bringing it out. It's a soft issue, but visibility is actually important. And we have to then recognize each other's own invoices. And the voice of an individual should then be counted, because we need that voice. We need that person to raise matters that can actually help us to build social cohesion. Consideration as a second step. You know, the concerns and needs of individuals and groups and even of communities, they have to be considered. When we are here, we belong from different families and we belong from different communities. If my voice that I'm raising as a concern in my family, and I take it to the community, I take it to a community at Mushate, and my issue of gender-based violence that I'm raising as a woman is not considered by those who are actually making policies, then that is a hindrance to social cohesion. That is why we are saying that, you know, voices of individuals or of groups should be taken into account by policymakers. And policymakers are us and our politicians, and us, obviously, as communities, you know, submitting those issues so that policymakers can actually approve them at a higher level. So we are important stakeholders. So my voice has to be considered. And access to social interactions. I have to have access to social interactions. I have to have access to economic interactions. If I want to make my business and I belong to a community or a village, the traditional authority, and I submit my business plan to actually build a spaza in that area, I have to have access to actually participate in the economic growth of that particular village. And I have to be given that space. If I'm not given that space, that actually contributes to poverty. That is actually to land in my family. So that is a hindrance to social cohesion. So I have to be included in economic and social and cultural and religious you know, activities. For example, we have got many mushrooming churches. Many mushrooming churches. How do we make sure that they've got a space? And how do we make sure that we don't even judge the way they practice their own religious beliefs? It's a challenge that we are facing as a nation. And immediately when you then look down upon a church or a traditional, you know, somebody that is actually doing his own traditional beliefs, it's a hindrance to that person, because he or she is no longer happy. And if you're no longer happy, obviously that, you know, boils up to violence and disputes and etc. That is a hindrance to social cohesion. So social cohesion is actually, you know, those soft issues that sometimes we actually don't consider are the ones that are actually are building up to a society that is not living cohesively. Human rights, I think you talked more about human rights yesterday, that people must actually have rights to, you know, to exist, and rights to act and claim, rights to be different. I have a right to be different. I have a right to access social services such as housing, education, transportation, and healthcare. And I had one area that yesterday in the discussions, you know, there was actually that voice that was actually saying that it's not actually tribalism. It's the fact that we are unable to access, you know, social services or basic services. If I'm unable to access a road from my village to town, and the road is so bad that is not even usable, you know, that at the end of the day boils up to community disruptions and to community disputes. And when that actually takes place, it then hinders social cohesion. And it even boils tribalism, because someone will be saying, no, these roads are only done or these roads are only done at Mopani, because Mopani are able to actually stand up and speak and whatever, and they're not, us in Waterberg, they're not even giving us this. So it actually, you know, boils to that. So as government, we need to ensure that we then promote, you know, the access of social and basic services to our people, so that we then, you know, press down these issues of community disruptions, which are a hindrance to social cohesion. And lastly, the other step is resources to fully participate in the society. I think this one is very clear that, you know, if I don't have access to, you know, to resources, if I don't have access to jobs, if I don't have access to the economy, if I don't have access to energy, if I don't have access, you know, to many other, to financial resources, how do I then live a social, cohesive life? So social cohesion and the importance of voting is very important, that people need to vote to have access of the things that they actually need. I'll actually quickly move to tribalism so that we don't actually even waste time, so that we don't talk to issues of principles of social cohesion. But the principles of social cohesion are actually been taken from priority 6 of government, that we need to live in safer spaces. And first of all is the fostering of constitutional values, equal opportunities, promoting of social cohesion through increased interaction across space, promoting active citizenry and leadership, and lastly, the fostering of social cohesion aspect. But in Limpopo, how then are we faring? I will then quickly look into the 3 focus area. In Limpopo, in the implementation of the social cohesion strategy, there's a technical working group that is actually existing, that is being appointed by the Premier. And the MEC for Sport, Arts and Culture is actually chairing that. And she's chairing that together with an external chairperson. They actually came up with 3 key focus areas that they want to implement to ensure that Limpopo, at the end of the day, live a socially cohesive life. They selected 3 focus areas. One of it is gender-based violence, which is a hindrance to social cohesion. But secondly is the promotion of non-racialism, which is the topic of today, and 9, tribalism through government programs. So I'm going to focus on the 2 and leave the 3 of honoring of veterans and liberation struggle. Within 2 minutes, I'm going to focus on the promotion of non-racialism. That what are the issues that are actually making us not to live together, and what are the issues that are actually leading to tribalism and racialism in the province. And just actually quickly going to scholars, that what is this tribalism? Tribalism obviously is the attitude and practice of harboring strong feelings of loyalty or bonds to one's tribe that excludes, or even demonizes other tribes. So if you look down upon other tribe, you're actually demonizing that tribe, and that actually harbor strong feelings of hatred, and that actually make us not to live together in a harmonious and in a socially cohesive manner. And I think I've explained that actually was formed by the Bantu stance that were actually formulated in the late 1960s and in the apartheid government. And when we profile Limpopo, and I just want to actually focus on this slide, that when you profile Limpopo, all these languages that are in this graph, you can go down, my brother, all these languages that are in this graph, they're actually representing, the number of percentages of people that are speaking these languages. Sepedi is the highest speaking language in Limpopo. You look at Setswana, it's 2.1%. You look at Shivenda, it's 17%. You look at Xitsonga, it's 16%. Isindebele, 1.5%. Afrikaans, only 2%. English, only 0.7%. Sesotho, 1.2%. So you can see that, that in itself poses a challenge on how to actually ensure that we are united, and we don't only, promote that language that actually, have got 56% of the number of people that are speaking it. How do we make sure that we actually ensure that we unite the people and we don't promote one language? When we look at the demographics, you can actually see very clear that when you look at Bembe, we are at 25%, the population. When you look at Greater Skukune, we are at 20%. And when you look at Mopani, we're actually 22%, etc. And when you look at Waterberg, it's 13%. So we are diverse. And in terms of even the population, you can see clearly that there's so much work that we need to do to unite the province. But then in terms of the programs that government is actually doing to promote the values of non-racialism and non-tribalism, those are the programs that are actually being done. We are doing what you call community conversations. And I actually will not read those community conversations that are being done on a quarterly basis. And currently, about 5 community conversations were actually done in this quarter, where we go to communities and we encourage them to talk about issues of tribalism, so that we can then find out solutions on how to actually craft programs that will actually deal with tribalism and racialism in the province. And we are using, culture and sport and other programs that we're actually ensuring that we will then take into consideration to deal with tribalism and non-racialism in the province. And the multilingualism campaigns that we're also doing, because we are in charge of the promotion of languages in the province. There are different kind of multilingualism campaigns that have been done in the province to ensure that we promote non-tribalism. We actually go all out to promote the speaking of the different languages, and we promote them by actually having exhibitions and campaigns. And in the current financial year, we did about 10 of them that we've actually listed them there, and I will not actually speak about them, where we go in every district to promote Tsonga, Chivenda, and Spedi, etc. And one area that we did was also to promote the sign language in the province, which was actually done in the month of September, to actually indicate that this is one area that will actually even unite the province. We are also translating various documents into various languages and our indigenous languages. You name all of them in the province. And that is the role of the department to do that, so that, when you then read in Chivenda and in Sepedi, you can actually see that you actually belong, and we don't undermine the languages that we are actually that we are speaking in different areas in the province or in different districts. And lastly, what we do is that we also go to traditional authorities. We actually record their history, or we do what we call oral history and archive outreach programs. When we then go and interview our traditional leaders and our traditional authorities, we want to preserve the heritage, the rich heritage that are actually being born in our mushates and in our traditional authorities. And when we then preserve that through our oral history, we preserve it for the now generation and for the next generation, so that we can then unite our provinces, that we have to then preserve and promote the rich heritage that we have in the province. I will not actually really talk to more areas, but actually to show that we need to promote and tolerate and even preserve the rich heritage and the arts and culture in the province, so that we then kill tribalism, or we then deal with tribalism. And I think in our different commissions, we'll actually come with solutions. I will not talk about them here. We came up with suggested solutions, but I think because of time and because we're going to our different commissions, we'll talk more about those, so that we can see how we promote non-tribalism and non-racialism in the province. Thank you very much, Chair, and thank you so much, Us Mankes, and I thank you.
Thank you very much, Mem Khonyana. I think our commissions have benefited from what you are saying. Already they have talked about issues yesterday, but they will infuse some of the suggestions that you came up with. Now we're going to do our report back from the commissions, and then thereafter we will then give I'm puzzled.
Okay, thank you. What I was saying is that what about if you give the floor maybe to ask 2 or 3 questions, because to me this is a key department or a key role player in terms of creating social cohesion and fighting tribalism in the province. And taking into account that they were supposed to present yesterday, so that when we go for commission, we'll be in the position to consider their views and their inputs. So this is really unfortunate that they are presenting after the commissions have said and deliberate on the issues. So which means that the presentation might, the views or the issues raised in the presentation might not be engaged properly like what we did yesterday with others. So I was thinking that you can give them floor and opportunity just to ask 1, 2 or 3 questions from the department.
Okay, Sis Veronica, please come back so that they will ask questions and you will be able to respond to the questions. Can I then request that you show by hand if you have questions so that we take the first round of questions as she's walking to the podium? Can we see the hands that wants to ask questions? So I'm sure you were listening to the presentation. There's one by the provincial manager. Before you even give the mic, let's take the other hand again. It's only one hand. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, facilitator. My question is, taking into account the challenges that we are facing as the province relating to allegedly tribalism, we have seen so many incidents that we can also confess, or we can also confirm that these incidents, majority of people, including the Human Rights Commission, have a view that this might have been influenced by tribalism, hence the conference that we are having today. There are issues, for example, that is straight to your department, where there was a crisis, I think some 2 years back, where Dr. Chauke was not treated in a manner that most of the people who were watching were saying that he was not treated the way he was supposed to, based on the tribalism. And yes, we received a complaint as the Human Rights Commission. We wanted to address it. Fortunately, we understand that the matter was dealt with by the department. But I just wanted also to know from your strategy that maybe the first question will be, does the office of the premier, as you are representing the government, and all the department within Limpopo, does they acknowledge that tribalism does exist and is happening in this province? Does the government of Limpopo acknowledge that it does exist or not? Beside that, what is that the government is doing? The project that has been outlined, the strategy, we only realized that you said that it was drafted in 2019. It was adopted in 2019. The question that I'm having, do you think that the government is doing enough, taking into account the history that you have outlined to us, the division that were created by the apartheid regime? Do you think the government is doing enough? And also, do you think the government was really taking the issue of integrating our people seriously? If since 1994, it only come up with a strategy in 2019, do you think that the government is justifiable? Is it justifiable for the government to only come up with a strategy to integrate our people only in 2019? Thank you.
Thank you very much. There are 2 questions on the floor. I'm sure she's still putting them together nicely. Do we have another hand? Maybe that might have been triggered by the questions asked. Okay, maybe if after Advocate Maluleke Lime Mahoro. Does that way?
Okay, thank you. I've just picked up something on the presentation that was actually shared, and it seems it's actually conflicts with what it was presented here, because there was some kind of illustration that chiefs before or during colonization, they were actually assisting each other without looking at ethnicity. I think the commissioner illustrated that there was I just forgot the chief that I was talking about, that he ran to a particular chief, one refused to assist him, and then he ran to another one who was actually willing to assist him. So I saw something saying that tribalism came before colonialism, and I also know that there were people who were coming from our neighboring countries, running from what was called Difetani and all that, and they came and settled in with other ethnic groups, and they were able to be given land which they even own today. That shows for a we're actually accepting each other before colonization. So I just wanted to find out what is it that informed that colonization, race, tribalism existed prior to colonization. Thank you.
Mema Horo. No, we can select it here.
Thank you, our presenter, Ms. I forgot
Mokhonyana.
Mokhonyana, my colleague who used to meet somewhere. But right now, there's an outcry about the tribalism, which is flying in a high speed. As the department, do you think you are doing enough by calling? Just because right now we find that in order to plow a seed that will prosper very well is to go to our young ones. So I'm suggesting, because when they cannot come with questions, sometimes we must help you. I'm suggesting that in order to eradicate this virus or this phenomenon, we can start by focusing to our young generation to teach them, starting from the school-based, wherein we teach our young ones the impact of tribalism amongst themselves and even to the community. Because I can see you have shown us your program, how it was running. I was part of it in some instances, but I think it's not enough, because one school maybe per circuit, but if ever you can just make a program of which it can also form part and parcel of the curriculum to schools, so that learners should be taught, so that they can, even from home, and they can even meet the same outcry that we want this, please avoid, learn this, you have to learn to accept, to tolerate, even if that you are seated next to your counterpart, a white learner or a Mupedi or whatever, you must consider her or him as part of your human being. So I'm suggesting that department is doing enough, but not excellently. Can you make a proposal to the Department of Education so that these tribalism issues should form part and parcel in the life orientation as a subject?
Thank you very much, Mema Horo, for the extending an arm proposal to our Department of Sports, Arts and Culture. You have 3 questions two that came from the provincial manager and the one that came from the advocate Maluleke. If you are ready, please respond to. Or there is another hand there by advocate Padantswana.
Okay, just a quick one, which integrates with other questions which were posed. The Department of Sports, Arts and Culture has made a presentation, and in it, there's talk of programs. We now know that there were implementation dates or when the programs actually started. The question I want to pose now is, from the programs, even if you go to the website, you understand there have been dialogues, there have been stakeholders engagements, and there were commitments in those engagements, which will then impute or call upon for either policy changes or legislative changes. But there isn't any information readily available to indicate if the department has drawn towards reaching a point of implementing policy changes or legislative changes after these community dialogues or engagements. I just want to know if there are plans to reach a point of breaching policy changes and legislative changes which are coming from these engagements dealing with social cohesion. We must understand it would appear that the department has been kind of given all the mandate relating to social cohesion. I understand some other departments have programs running talking about or dealing with social cohesion, but the Department of Arts, Sports, Arts and Culture holds the bigger chunk of it. Thank you.
I'm sure. Thank you.
Thank you very much for the questions that have been posed or for the engagements. Really appreciate it, and they are actually really, really helping. And I think I will start with the question that has been posed by the provincial commissioner. And yes, let me quickly go to it. And the question that has been asked was the fact that as government, are you doing enough? And why are you coming with a strategy only in 2019? And do you think that the programs that you're actually implementing are really building a social cohesion and nation building in the province? And I have to then, in actual fact, you started with the question that, do you admit or do you acknowledge that there is tribalism in the province? We, as government, we actually admit that there is a level of tribalism in the province. We admit that this is still exists. We have not yet measured it in such a way that we can actually say that right now, after the new dispensation, we are at where we are, you know, being united or being cohesive. But we agree that a level of tribalism in some certain areas, especially in some certain districts, that element is still rearing its ugly head. If we can stand here and actually indicate or state that there are no those incidences that actually reflect a level of tribalism in some certain areas, and in some, obviously, in some certain incidences, we will not actually be telling the truth. Hence, the need and the call to develop the Limpopo social cohesion and nation building strategy was actually made, and it was not actually made in 2019. I think other strategies were made before, but they did not go straight or directly to fight tribalism. And there was a call that we need a strategy that will actually talk to all matters that are hindrances to social cohesion. And one of those is actually a tribalism. Hence, when you look at the program of the technical working group that is actually being established to look at social cohesion, is number 2 key focus area, is that of the promotion or the usage of government programs to promote non-tribalism and non-racialism, because these two, you would agree with me that there's a way where they actually go hand in glove. So there is that key focus area. And that actually says to the province that we do acknowledge that it is actually there. And in some instances, we see incidences of tribalism, and we don't actually have to look or to ignore or bury our heads in the sand, but we have to deal with this, I'll call it monster for now. We have to deal with it directly with the programs that government has to actually come up with. And as a Department of Sports, Arts and Culture, we have to coordinate those programs with entities of government, with government itself, and with other structures of the civil society. So the acknowledgement is actually there. And we will not say that it is not there when we have made an example of incidences that happened in Vuan, I think 3 years and 2 years back. And that actually called the province to deal with what was actually happening in Vuan. And I think you have all seen many programs that were actually geared towards Vuan to actually deal with matters of tribalism. So the acknowledgement is actually there. But the fact that why are we now actually developing the strategy? As I've indicated that there were actually attempts of dealing with tribalism without, only with programs. But government has actually realized that we need to follow a strategy. We actually need to, in the strategy, outline programs and strategies that we can actually implement to address tribalism. And that strategy is actually focusing on that. And this is the 4th year that we are actually implementing it, which is started, not being easy. But currently we are seeing government actually coming along and trying to focus on addressing tribalism through the strategy. What we do is that we meet on a quarterly basis. We actually call a government, and Human Rights Commission is actually even part of the entities that actually form the committees that have to deal with social cohesion. Then government has to come up with those programs, and we coordinate those programs. When we're going out to societies, we go out implementing those programs to ensure that we deal with those incidences. We are at a stage where we are coming with a program where we want to measure the work that has been done by government since 2019 and 2020, a financial year, since we have implemented this strategy. And I think we'll be sharing with you later this financial year, towards the end of the financial year, where we'll also be planning towards the revision of the strategy. We have to understand that the steps that we've taken, yes, they made a difference, but not that much of a huge difference. And I think the measurement, a part of it, when you're going to measure impact, will actually answer the question of saying, have we really fared well? Though in most areas, we see that a difference has been made. Communities are starting to understand the fact that we need to live together in a cohesive manner. I'll make an example before I step off this one, that the implementation and the rolling out of the celebration of the national significant days is one element that we should actually be using, and it's one strategy that is in this strategy that can actually be used to unite the province. When we celebrate the National Freedom Day, usually we take it for granted that it's just going to the stadium. It's just a matter of speeches. But when you take that day that everybody is actually, involved to celebrate and to commemorate that day, even in terms of implementation of some activities towards the celebration of that day, it takes into account different, ethnic groups into one space, the sharing of a space, and even the messages that are being said on that day, they're actually, gearing towards the building of a socially cohesive and a united a nation in the province. But however, we have actually joined forces with the National Department of Sports, Arts and Culture to revise how we actually commemorate those days so that they can actually be expanded and the activities can be expanded to reach out to even our white counterparts our Indians, our colors, because it's one area that we are seeing that we have not actually won as government when we then celebrate or commemorate these very important days like Heritage Day, Freedom Day, Women's Day, and even Human Rights Day, that we sometimes not being able to reach out to communities to embrace these days as some of the days that we can celebrate our history and our rich heritage of attainment of the democracy. And that in itself can actually assist in uniting the province. And that is why we are actually saying that, social cohesion is for all, and to extend the hand and not, undermine the celebration of these days. It can actually help. And we need every entity, and we need every government sector and every structure to promote social cohesion and nation building. Yes, we agree we have not done enough. Much is still going to be done, and much needs to be done. And we appreciate the fact that we are part of this collective, and we believe that we are going to learn from the recommendations that have been done, so that we can go forward with them and foster social cohesion and nation building. The issue of the advocate that tribalism did it actually exist before colonialism. I think in the slide that we have actually shared, which I will actually send the presentation to the administrators, we actually indicated that a study has been done by a scholar called Mackenzie in 1989, and actually hold the opinion that, the forceful removals, during the colonialization, it actually brewed a tribalism. And Lonsdale actually agreed that in Africa is a land of tribes, which you know, but those tribes are actually living in unity. And each of them, we believe that, and we know that they've got they are united by language and modes of subsistence and modes of actually indicating that they are Africans, and they're actually even united by the kinship, religious, and cultural practices. For the fact that you know that you're an African, you know that my brother from Zimbabwe and my brother from Angola is actually an African, but then we are united by the fact that we are Africans, and the modes of subsistence and the kinship and the cultural practices that we have. But unfortunately, we're separated by the forceful removers in the 1960s, and I think we know the history by then. So that is a slide that we actually even borrowed from some of the scholars that actually trace back and started to check, where tribalism actually happened, where did it come from, the history of it. But as Africans, we are actually, there's a program that AU is actually fostering, and that is why we've got the AU anthem that unites us as Africans. Never mind the wars that we are seeing, but the belief that we are all Africans, it is being borrowed from the fact the before colonization, that we know that we are Africans, though we might be different in languages, but we are all from Africa, and we are united by the modes of subsistence and ruled through our kinship developments. Then the last one, I think the last two came from my colleague Memahoro. Quite right. Nation building, we need to actually conscientize our new generation and generations to come. And you're quite right. There are programs that we do in collaboration with the Department of Education. Is that we didn't go to the slides because of time. The programs that we are actually doing, some of them we are teaching them the importance of the national symbols of the country, a symbol flag of the country, and all the national symbols, the coat of arms, the meaning of coat of arms. And the reason why we are teaching these young stars is because we want them to embrace and to actually have that spirit of patriotism in them. I agree, it's not enough, because you'll be implementing in 1 or 2 or 3 schools in a second. And that is why we want the Department of Education on board. And we are believing that now they're actually buying into the fact that we need to actually introduce this, in their programs, in their extra curricular programs, to teach them about we call them the I am the flag campaigns. We go to every school, we host a flag, but also what we do is that we actually teach them the meaning of a flag. Why do we have the red color? This is the blood of our ancestors who fought for freedom, so that they can actually understand that we have to live together in a socially cohesive manner. But that is not enough. There's more that we need to do. There's a memorandum of understanding that we are proposing with the Department of Education, so that the programs that we do of building social cohesion can actually be in their annual performance plan, so that it's not a by the way issue, but then they work with us to do that. But one other program that we do is through our libraries. We know that we have got libraries. There are 106 libraries that we do to promote the culture of reading and learning. So there are library outreach programs, which are actually there also in the slides, that we do with the Department of Education. When we visit an area, we invite schools. And when we invite schools, we then, test the learners, whether they know how to read in their own indigenous languages, so that they can have the love and the passion of actually knowing their language. And that, in actual fact, it actually creates social cohesion and nation building. But I'm saying it is not enough. There's more that we need to do to move to each and every school. And those strategies can actually come up from here when we are in plenary. The last one was from Father Nswana. And you're quite right. We are doing, social cohesion conversations, or we call them community dialogues. We go to communities, we go to Mushate, we hold those community dialogues, we hear more from our communities, but what are we doing with them? We actually even took that as a executive, that we collect more information, but there isn't much that we have done in terms of policy change. But one a colleague actually mentioned, raised a hand to say, you are very right. You are trying to actually raise the level of community activism, because when you engage community, you actually say, deal with the matters, or say, or talk about the things that are actually hindering us to access or to promote social cohesion. So those have been collected. But now that we're going to revise the strategy, which you will be part of, those information and recommendations that have been made from our various community dialogues, we actually we are building them up as factors that will actually assist us to revise the social cohesion and nation building strategy. We have not yet started with the policy change, but that we believe that they will then add more in shaping the strategy going forward and in influencing some of the policies of government. So we are packaging them, and we are actually structuring them in such a way that when we are then going to use them, they will not actually give us challenges. They will actually talk to areas of policy change in government that will actually affect various governmental departments. I believe I've touched all areas that have been asked, and I really appreciate this opportunity.
I think you can do better ka goba moshapela matsogo. I understand there may be more of what you want to ask, because now I can, more to one question is to shut the other. So Mema Puta, you want to push for your hand?
If I can live here without clarifying the misinterpretation, I would have misinterpreted or misrepresented my municipality. I think Abu Mavildura yesterday tried to clarify, and I heard when Sesi was answering here. Sorry, I didn't hear that surname.
Veronica Mokhonyana.
Mokhonyana, yes. She did mention something that provoked me. I thought I will handle it from yesterday, but I think I need to clarify this. One, we are acknowledging that yes, there's still tribalism in our country. But we want to correct this thing, Metema, to say how Collins Chabane was established, because I heard her mentioning Vuani, and I think I need to be clear on this one. Collins Chabane, I think the research from Human Rights Commission was fair enough to say, yes, we did analysis and check what was the reason for Malamalele people to fight for the municipality. That's what I want to clarify. It was based on the issue of service delivery. I think this thing should ring in our heads, not issue of tribalism. I said I must clarify this one. There was lack of service delivery in Malamlele areas. That's why that fight. Yes, the municipality was established in 2016. Then came Vuani issue. You will know, worry, Vuani came into party to be serviced by Malamalele some years after establishment. The thing was not also tribalism. Yes, we acknowledge there is tribalism. It was not like the vendor speaking people were saying, no, now we don't want to be part of Collins Chabane. They were saying this municipality, I think Mr. Mavudula clarified it, Sesimatema, and if I can leave here without overemphasizing it, I will not have peace. They were saying this is a new municipality. Are we sure they're gonna provide services to us? Hence, a lot of engagement that I spoke about yesterday, a lot of consultation that I spoke about yesterday, to say, can you please give this new baby a chance? Then you can say, no, they can't provide services. Hence, as we speak, as our case study that we were reflecting, to say Collins Chabane was the talk of this conference. The reason was not to say tribalism. The reason was that how it was established and the mentality and the perception from people out there to say the Tsonga speaking people wanted their own municipality because they didn't want to form part of Makado and Tulamela. I think I need to clarify this one. So I'm not sure whether during your recap, and I'm sorry I was late, you did clarify something that already also touched me, not in a good way yesterday. Allow me to mention it. Something that was sensitively said by Ms. Magoro. I think it was said here to say, yes, it's good to be a tribalist, but the thing is then how then do you demand everything on those bases? And I belong from the same church that is responsible for the premiership, Memagoro. And as that church, we have got our own way of deploying the premier, not along the racist or the tribalism or the ethnic group. I think you know we'll go to our conferences, the chairperson, when avoiding two centers of power, that's what will happen. So when I live here, I was not fine to say, if this thing cannot be properly addressed, Victor Mabudula will live here and say, our organization was attacked in the Human Rights Commission based on how the premiership is decided. I think this one needs to be clarified, Mr. Victor, because the way it was presented to say from 1994, the premiership was for this kind of thing. I think it can be correct because there is a way that that church is doing in terms of deciding their premiership. I will have peace after addressing this one. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mema Putla. I'm not going to allow Mema Horo. However, in a good way, I will call in Bumabidula to talk on the issues, because otherwise I'll be generating another dialogue which I don't want to go to. And after that, I'll then request feedback from the commissions. Is it allowed? Thank you so much for understanding.
Thank you very much, colleagues. I think the program director, I can see the hand there, she will be with you. Colleagues, I think we need to clarify this matter. And I'm happy that the temperature are going up. You know, when you see the car moving, it's because there is a lot of friction in the engine there. That's why you are comfortable and moving without even doing anything. So whenever there is this friction, it will make us to think and chart the way forward and come up with something that will make or take this province forward. Colleagues, I said to when we started here that when we come to the issue of one Malamulele, the Human Rights Commission was very much involved. You will understand, we were not part of the government, but we were engaging with the government officials. We had meetings with the task team. I forgot the name of the church that we had the meeting in Malamulele. We were taken around by the task team, Malamulele task team, during the shutdown. They were showing. In fact, I can confess with you, Maluleke will agree with me. Before that, we were receiving a lot of complaints from Malamulele about service delivery. We wrote a letter to the Thulamela municipality to find out what are the issues. Show us the project that you have implemented in Malamulele. That was long before the shutdown. But because before people get involved in the shutdown, they engage with the Human Rights Commission. That's why every time when we receive complaints, we will warn the government that there is a fire that is about to start there. Can you do something? But those who will choose to respond will extinguish the fire before it can spread. Those who choose not to respond will have the shutdown. The same applies to Mkhalakwena. Before people from Mkhalakwena, before the community started with the shutdown, they approached the Human Rights Commission because we have the mandate, we are independent. And when we speak to the government, we are not speaking to the government to undermine them. We are trying to work together to make sure that we serve our people. So with the Malamulele, they raise their concern, they raise the issues. Then we say, okay, fine, let us look at what they have done. There was an argument, obviously, government will always defend itself. That we are doing this, but we show them. There were so many incidents, including the incident where people from Malamulele were breaking the pipes to get water. There were a project of new stand around Malamulele there, where there were pipes and all those things. People started breaking to get water and all those things. You go to Malamulele town, there is mixed up and all those things. Then we say, but can you tell us what you are doing exactly in this particular area? No information was submitted that convinced us that something was done. Then people from Malamulele had a shutdown on the basis of service delivery. It was not about tribalism, because there were also vendors speaking who were leading that, who were part and parcel. I'm saying this because we used to have meetings. There were vendor speaking people who were also part and parcel of that protest. And when we engaged with them, they showed us that they were open to us. That these are the issues, Human Rights Commission, tell us what we should do. And then, because there was no positive response, then they said, can't we get a municipality that will serve these particular areas that are forgotten? Taking you back a little bit, there was now the issue of Vuani. Vuani community was protesting against Makhado municipality. I think colleagues understand this. They were protesting against Makhado municipality to say, we don't want to be part of Makhado municipality. We are not getting service. We went there. We engaged with them. Then when the government, I'm not from the demarcation board, I don't know the reason why they advanced to the demarcation board. These two communities, Vuani and Malamulele, that were not service, that were not receiving service delivery. Then the decision was taken after their submission that we are forming Collins Chaban municipality. So on its own, it has nothing to do with the tribe. It's not for Tsonga-speaking people. It's not for Venda-speaking people. It's for all those people who were affected by service delivery. And then those people have been clustered together. there is a municipality. And then the Vuani community started protesting. We don't want to be part of the municipality. I think that is where the issue of tribalism was in play. That is where people started raising the issue of tribalism, because how do you say you don't want to be part of this municipality? Because you didn't want to be part of Makado. Here the government is responding. Have your own municipality. So really, form your own, have your own municipality that will be called Collins Shabani. Then that is how the Collins Shabani municipality was born, not on tribalism. Then this municipality now is facing a challenge. There was a resistance from Vuani community that we don't want to be part of that. Then we did not support that protest, and we engaged with the leadership from Vuani properly. And we said, you can't protest against this municipality. It's a new baby. What will be the basis? They've not even failed anyone. Why don't you just give them a chance? Work with them, work with each other to make sure that you get service. And what we have seen now is what is happening. They are working together. Obviously, there will be challenges because there was a resistance, but so far, I can confirm and confess that as the Human Rights Commission, we have not received any complaints regarding tribalism from Collins Shabani municipality. We are giving the municipality a chance to serve these communities. Yes, it's still very young, but I believe that if we give them support, all of us, they will be able to deliver. I think that clarified the issue. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I'm sure you are now clarified, and I'm sure you now will, in your commissions, be able to report back as we agreed, or you're going to be reporting back. I'm not sure which commission wants to go first. If you can be able to sit together, if you want to sit together, I'll give you the 5 minutes to sit together so that we take the feedback. Commission 1 is first and ready. And then commission, this one. You're not going to say anything different or regarding the presentation, but regarding the commissions. Eh? I'm not protecting you. If I boss Mike.
Colleagues, I've been requested again to clarify the issue. I forgot about it. The colleagues, I think the question was asked regarding the issue of premiership, colleagues. I don't think we should be worried as to who is leading us. If you want to be a premier, go and contest elections. Go and form a political party, because these are the internal issues within a ruling party as to who should be deployed. But what I can confess is that it's not only Pedi speaking who had been premiers here. Castle Matale was a Tsonga speaking person. So we should not say that only Pedi speaking are the ones who are getting the premiership. But there's nothing, if you don't join the movement, I'm not contesting or encouraging you to join. But whichever political party win elections, they have those powers. It's not, Human Rights Commission cannot do anything. It's the prerogative of the political party to deploy individuals. If you want to dominate and deploy your own candidate, join the party that will win the election in numbers, then you will influence the outcome. So we should not be worried about the political deployment. That's why we are not worried as the Human Rights Commission, because we believe that whoever is deployed, we will stand up for the people so that that person serves everyone. So we should not be worried about who and all those things. But that is the issue that we should leave it there, because political parties have, in terms of the constitution, it's not from Victor, it's the constitution that allows political parties to deploy. Thank you.
Hello, thank you, audience. There's a, you know why I worried? I was saying this as an example, but right now she's coming next to me to ask for an apology. I told her that do that in public, not to me only, and she's refusing. So which means that something is wrong. No, you can't do that. You can't do that. You are blowing your own whistle. We are here to embrace. No.
Colleagues, my humble request to everyone. My humble request to everyone is that one of the reason we are here and we are raising these issues. We are creating a platform. Can colleagues listen, please? We created this platform for everyone to air the views and all those things. Whatever that has been said, if we deemed that to be inappropriate, it should be the Human Rights Commission that will extend that apology. If there is any issue that has been raised that you feel uncomfortable, just take that to us as the Human Rights Commission to say, I have this concern, but the Human Rights Commission, you failed to protect us or to protect me when I was under attack. There is nothing wrong with one feeling uncomfortable with what we are asking or we are discussing. That is normal. And we want that. I honestly want that because I know that we won't agree on everything. Everyone has the right to have a different view, and we will differ. And at the end of the day, we are differing with the main aim of serving this province. And that we must be proud of that. So we are saying, whoever feel uncomfortable, let us make sure that we don't confront each other. We allow ourselves. If you want to have a discussion with me, do so. I will have a discussion with you. Where I find that there is a need to apologize. Whatever that has been said through us as the Human Rights Commission. I will do apologize on behalf of whoever, and will take responsibility for that.
Thank you very much. I think you have addressed it. The group that is, the commission that is ready to start, it's already, you sent to me. Can I give you the stick? The commission that is ready to start wants to project. Because they want to project, they're still going to save the information on the stick. The other one wants to start. Please come with your gadget. Take your gadget. Yeah, Mamutadiaji. This is a real conference, I can tell you. This is a real one. We are conversing. We are talking.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I would like to then report on commission number 3. But since we are then conversing around issues of tribalism, let me rather start as also a prince. This is what I will do. And I'm not just saying it, just so that, you know, people. So I would like to acknowledge the Hositaina, Bamushate, and then in Venda, yes.
Ke kgopela gore le tsweleng ka ntle ga nnyane le le nwe metsi bana bešong re kgoneng go tswela pele. Thank you so much. Le juice gona ka mola le ka tsena, you can take juice in a little ice. Please, please, please go out. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. You can continue, Dani.
Thank you very much. Like I said, I think the first thing that I would do, that even my former boss, I'm sure she's actually looking at me as to what am I going to do? To those that know our customs, as a Venda man, my chiefs are also present here. And in custom, I will be doing it for every chief in Dun and Abodna visitor that are here, to show that we are against tribalism. Abantu soru. Miraro. Chibabara chasha. Vere lambe. Iwe unori find out. Maira usumbi. Ndo libu. I would like to then let you know we are the only group that is actually for the environment. Why am I saying this? Because others were using papers. My group decided that we are going to be digital. We are actually using the fourth industrial revolution. I saw people staying in here, still discussing. Ours works like the university. So that is how we actually operated. I would like to also point out that the University of Venda actually then submitted late, and then we submitted 10, we actually subtracted 10 marks as they do at the university. So we are therefore going to then let you know about the unveiling of the triggers of tribalism in South African perspective. Indeed, South Africa is a rich cultural diversity, and it is often shadowed, or rather overshadowed, by the existence of tribalism, which is hampered and has hampered the nation's progress towards fostering a culture of human rights. Tribalism is actually a phenomenon rooted in ethnicity, cultural and historical identities. And this has been, conversed about even yesterday. I don't want to actually then get into the historical context, but rather we need to also look at the social imbalances that are actually present in South Africa as it is. Because of our history, the issues that were actually presented by the Chamber of Commerce about your high employment rates and the lack of resources economically has actually contributed to South Africa's tribalism. Of course, there was fire on the mountain as it is right now. And I believe that in this space, this is where we need to have robust debates, where we are able to then debate and then say things that are uncomfortable. If we then start massaging the feelings of each other's tribes, then we are not going to deal with the phenomenon, or rather this pandemic, or rather epidemic that is actually happening in our country. It is vital that society actually then recognizes that these social imbalances are the ones that are actually then the breeding grounds for tribalism. Of course, there are politicized tribalism, and just now we were actually then dealing with issues pertaining to that. Although these are gray areas that people are afraid to tread upon, or rather to tread upon, these are things that we need to also discuss. If we don't get deeper into this matter, we are going to then sit as the province, and then we won't be able to then resolve these divisions. Some political leaders exploit the ethnic divisions and perpetuate the stereotypes to advance their own agendas and consolidate the support among certain tribes. We have seen it happening,
And unless we talk about the big elephant in the room, we are going nowhere. We are heading to the 2024 elections. And trust me, there are those that are going to get much more resources than the other. George Orwell says, all animals are equal, but others seem to be way much equal than others. And this is the society that we're actually then living in. But we need to ensure that we cultivate a culture of human rights, social cohesion, and eradicate tribalism. We have seen the demographics also in the province. And then when I looked at those demographics that the Premier's office has actually provided for us, 25% is actually based in Bembe district. And I don't want to actually then come into the resource sharing. Once we beat the inequalities that we do have in our various districts, then we won't be actually then having civil unrest, because this is where the challenges are. When people are not actually getting services, then they're going to then start dividing. Of course, the findings were that there was no tribalism. But if you are then told, and I'm talking from experience, that no, you are not going to pass. Vendors should be by the other side, and then Tsongas should be by the other side. And this was the blockade around Nandoni Dam when the unrest was actually happening. So please tell me, colleagues, whether it is not tribalism when we then say no, it is better for vendors to actually stay where they are, and the Tsonga-speaking people should stay where they are. I will refer you to Ruth chapter 1, because I was seated with also faith-based organizations and leaders. Ruth says to Naomi, your people will be my people, and your God will be my God. Where you die, I will die. Where you will lodge, I will lodge. Which means where you stay, I am going to stay. I should be able to then move to Hamutapo and then be able to get a stand. I should be able to come to Polokwane and then still get the positions that others are getting. Of course, we cannot go political because basically there are processes and how people are actually nominated. But it is very vital that we start integration as a nation. Of course, as I'm actually looking at my computer, or rather my laptop here, it has actually logged me out. But I'm going to then speak from what all these people have actually then submitted. Colleagues, it is vital that we don't sit down anymore. Samora Machel used to say, a luta continue. And then they would ask, what? And he says, against tribalism, against illiteracy, against poverty. These are the things that we need to then fight against. I will tell you, colleagues, that when ethnic groups were actually taken to different areas, Gazankulu, Venda, you name it, there were issues that started happening. I come from Toyando. I will tell you that I have a place called Chisauru Chamachanga, which means Chisauru for the Tsonga people. But those people have been displaced. We used to stay as one. Today, we are no longer, let me put it rather in Venda, which means we no longer pour water for each other. We no longer sit in harmony. The great command, or rather the mandate that was also given, and these are the remarks that were given by Pastor Strike, to then say, go ye unto the world and make all people disciples. He did not say go to the Jew, go to the Greek, which is what Colossians actually says. It says, therefore there shall not be any Jew, there shall not be any Greek or Hebrew, there shall not be any Venda, Tsonga, there shall not be any Peri, there shall not be any Ndebele. We need to then rise and then hold each other accountable. This is a very uncomfortable conversation to have. Otherwise, we will come and then do a talk shop. We are not going to sit as a province and allow the province to go down. We are going to then stand and foster social cohesion. We are going to stand and then build our nation. We are going to stand and make sure that the programs that the government is actually then providing are going to respond to this social ill. The commissioner has made submissions that it is vital for even academic institutions to then come and then play a role in fostering social cohesion and fighting with tribalism. Colleagues, it is not yet Uhuru, but we are really going there. As we live today, I think it is very vital that we start with where we come from, who we are, how do we teach our children, and how do we teach our societies. I'm always afraid when the program director is drawing closer to the podium, but I would rather put it and then say, out of this group where I had sat with the veterans, and then they were actually struggling with the fourth industrial revolution, we are still saying down with tribalism, down. And I was Tema, when we leave here, let us go back and then start introspecting as to whether was this ticking another box? Because we might be here and then be preaching to the converted when we need to actually then go out there. The conversations need to happen and they will be uncomfortable. Let there be fire on the mountain. But up until we then deal with this social ill, then we are not going anywhere. If the social ills and inequalities, even economically, is not dealt with, then this is a fruitless exercise. Colleagues, I therefore invite you that when we go back, let us go to the drawing board and make sure that there is social cohesion and there is a fight against tribalism. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Raidani. He was representing and reporting back for Commission 3. As you know, me, Raidani, I would like to have all those recommendations and inputs in writing. Thank you so much. I'm sure you are very sure of my email address and WhatsApp number. You can send everything. Thank you so much, because we need to capture everything. And we have Mayor Mokhonyana here representing the provincial government, who is also looking forward to receive those inputs for the updating of the strategy. So it represents the interests of the communities. Thank you. In the group, Commission 3, it was a delegate from the CRL. We also have Commissioner JB. And then we have delegate from the PEN South African Language Board, Bagahoshi Kakwa Yabahananwa, Bakereke Pastor Strike. We also have Bakakwa Atlaneki, Leba Hochwelela, Kakwa Hosi Madonzi, Collins Chabani, and the Human Rights Commission, Flora Di Pila. That was the commission that was reporting. Now we're going to Commissioner 1. The reporter will be Robert Jeleni. I understand you will be flaking the presentation. Thank you so much.
You end up not being so sure whether to say Amanda or Amen. Colleagues, can I borrow that mic? Colleagues, we are reporting for Commission 1, and my name is Albert Jeleni, and I am here representing my group. And what I'm saying here is what we discussed. We had a discussion here before we left, and then we agreed to have a WhatsApp group. and we continue to share ideas throughout the night. And of course, being the professionals that we are, we have got this written down in a Word format, in a report manner, about 2 or 3 pages. And then we also have a presentation here that we want to wow you with. So enjoy the presentation. Just to give the preamble, really religious and community setup are a coming together of persons based on perceived common values. However, the common values at times could easily carry personal bias, resulting in tribalism and other forms of segregation. It is important that there be vigilance to be able to outroot such tendencies timely. And wherefore we believe that religious and community leaders must realize that they are regarded as the most important components in our society to lead the process of building social cohesion and uniting the different communities. As an introduction, we as Commission 1, we were tasked to undertake the following: identify 4 most important elements that may simply describe tribalism in a religious or worshiping community. And of course, in addition, deal with those 2 points, identifying factors that may be regarded as the main causes of tribalism, and also identifying programs or activities that may be implemented. And we therefore present this to you. In our approach, colleagues, we tried a little bit, to be scientific, so that whatever we present really makes sense for the purposes of the recommendation and going forward. We thought to ourselves, we need to have an understanding of the root causes of tribalism in general. We needed to then identify the 4 key elements that define tribalism in religious and community setup, and then identify the main causes of tribalism in Limpopo in particular, and then of course the programs, and then give our conclusion. Ooh. This technology. Okay, in understanding the root causes of tribalism, we mentioned these 4 issues. Obviously, the issues of the apartheid, and then the issues of having stayed away for too long, even when we needed to reconcile. We are talking 30 years after 1994, but it's still difficult. The fact that we stayed away from each other, it's problematic. Even in areas like townships, you will still find different schools: a school for Tsongas, a school for vendors, for example, in Soweto, and a school for Pedis and the Zulus and all that. And of course, the spirit of Ubuntu now is not there. So these are some of the general issues that we found really to temper with tribalism. In terms of identifying the 4 key areas, I don't know what happened to technology there. For some reason, it's now going into the bullet points. But the 4 that we identified is the exclusivity, doctrinal rigidity, and then leadership biases, as well as lack of interfaith dialogue. And in terms of exclusivity, we are looking at things like, you go into a community, and because the pastor is Tsonga, there is some kind of assuming that that is exclusively for Tsonga people. Or if you are in a community where the dominating language is Venda, then the assumption is that that space is really for vendors. And those personal biases, they start to play a role there. And those who are vendors, they start to feel like, because the area itself is mainly vendors, maybe they've got more privilege. And the doctrinal rigidity, it's where I think one of the pastors said it, instead of preaching God, you're preaching your church, you are preaching your beliefs, and you're allowing your political affiliation, for example, or social affiliation to come in. The leadership biases, most of the communities, there are certain people who dictate who must be a leader, and they can choose those that they favor or who believe in a certain way of doing things. And of course, the lack of interfaith dialogue, ownership of members, and we don't want to work together, we don't want to visit each other. And those are the 4 key issues that we identified. And then in terms of the main causes in Limpopo, I think we need, it doesn't move. You're coming to pray for it. Thank you. Okay, I think it has moved. Thank you very much. Now, we also identified about 5, historical legacies and land disputes. You go into most communities, one chief is fighting with the other, one community is fighting with the other because we believe we occupy that land. And of course, it goes back to the apartheid, social and economic disparities. It has been indicated a lot. You don't understand how the 5 districts come about in the allocation of budgets, into the very 5 districts and the various municipalities. Of course, the political manipulations. We are going into voting next year. People are going to take advantage of the people that are closer to them to be able to vote for them. Cultural ignorances and stereotypes. You grew up being told certain things about a certain tribe and you believed it. And lack of inclusive leadership. And of course, it's one of those things that just caused issues just now. And to a certain extent, there is no institution that is exempted from being inclusive. And if we allow that, that's what perpetuates that. But obviously, the commissioner and the commission will have to deal with that. We can move to the next slide. Now, in terms of identifying the programs that we think they can help, we identified a few programs, around 7 of them. And one of them is educational programs. We need to be very intentional. And that may include, as indicated, even going to school. And then community dialogues and workshops, find a space like we did now. And we talk about these things, but we need to be practical about it, talk it out. Media campaigns as well. We usually don't use media properly for issues like this. If we are to look at how businesses are, when they are advertising their cigarettes, their alcohol, they go all out. But when it comes to things that we're talking about, we're not all out talking about tribalism. But also, talks about equality in the media as well. Are all the languages equally represented in the media? The legal reforms and human rights advocacy. How do we influence the commission now, the way it's set up? To make sure that a dialogue like this next year probably reflects how we feel, the inclusive leadership in terms of training and all that, the youth empowerment programs, and of course, most importantly, interdenominational and intercultural gatherings. It's very important. Churches in the olden days, they used to visit each other, but now it does not happen anymore. As I conclude, addressing tribalism in Limpopo Province necessitates a multifaceted approach that tackles historical grievances, economic disparities, political manipulation, cultural ignorance, and the need for inclusive leadership. By fostering understanding, promoting equality, and discouraging divisive practices, communities can work towards a more united and harmonious future. Gatherings such as these are necessary and must be expanded to include all stakeholders, and must also include training and training the trainer programs. The last 2 slides, they're just about to make you laugh if you can. You skipped 1 slide, don't be in a hurry. What's happening? No. Yeah. Where is that car going? Where is the direction of that car? Somehow as we walk out of here, some of us, we still feel we're not so sure what is the definition of tribalism and social cohesion. So the commission must work very hard to make sure that we know where the car is going. It looks like it's going everywhere. And the last picture. monkey see, monkey do. So no matter how much we talk here, you know, we're observing how we are structured in the departments, in the communities. So if we do not change what is really on the ground, it doesn't matter how much we talk. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. As you come in, Bumavidula, there was a slide on monkey see, monkey do, and I know it was sometime not very long back where we had that as a serious complaint or commissioning. Maybe I'll later give you chance to talk about it. Monkey see, monkey do. It's an proverb goba ke idiom ke tsene tsela. Mara now I remember there was a complaint go officing ya monkey see, monkey do. Le bolele ka yona ganyane ke tla lefa nako. We had the recommendations and the suggestions and proposals from Commission 1 and Elidiboni because they were flagged there. I also have them. Like you said, in the report, of course, report it will represent the interest of this conference. It will not be a tick box, like you said. So group 2, even if you are not ready, because group 1 has gone and group 3 has gone, can I then call you to come and give us the report? Group 2, Kibu Ntatelebilo, Jekima Khuba, who was a facilitator, I don't know if he's here now. Mama Khokong Lidwaba, Bumusi, Mushi Caswell, Mahoro, Azwi, Bilankulu permission, Tando Chauke was the scriber, Makati was there, Twebejani Zek, Bumme Makondelele, you are the reporter. And then Meg Grace Professor our honor today, Le Rev Mapieye. As I allow you to the podium for the report, I'm not sure if you still need some 2 minutes. Okay, they need 2 minutes for that. I'm not sure if I then have to give you all a refresher breakdown of some time. Yeah, let them break as you prepare your 2 minutes. Yes, you quickly go for a break. There's tea next door. Open our curtains so everybody can be able to walk in freely. And then in 5 minutes exactly, I'll call you back.
But more significantly, it gave birth to our constitutional democracy. South Africa's constitution, as heralded the world over, was the universal application and liberal inclusion of all human beings. Moreover, the post-apartheid South Africa ushered in the establishment of chapter 9 institutions. Chapter 9 institutions such as the South African Human Rights Commission serve as vanguard and custodian of our benchmark principles. Who is the SAHRC? As an independent institution, the South African Human Rights Commission is constitutionally mandated to ensure the attainment and enjoyment of human rights for all South Africans. The Commission and other Chapter 9 institutions were established to uphold and guard our constitutional values. Thus, as a custodian of the Constitution, the Commission is mandated with ensuring the fulfillment of and access to our universal human rights. What does the SAHRC do? The Commission is mandated by the Constitution to ensure the attainment and enjoyment of human rights for all South Africans, irrespective of race, gender, sex, creed, culture, or class. In fulfilling its broad mandate, the Commission works with a vast multitude of communities in and around South Africa. The Commission prides itself in having long-standing and mutually beneficial networks in an endeavor to educate people about their rights. As an independently established body, the Commission also works with government to ensure the delivery of services to its citizens. The Commission's work is not only limited to serving communities, but extends to Parliament, where the Commission works together with policymakers to make and pass laws that improve the lives of our people. The Commission also ensures the right to access to justice, particularly through the courts. How does the SAHRC carry out its mandate? The Commission promotes, protects, and monitors human rights with healthcare, favor, or prejudice. The Commission is concerned mainly with promoting a culture of human rights. Through its advocacy, research, and legal dealings, the Commission ensures the overall promotion, monitoring the observance and protection of human rights, respectively. Where can we find them? The Commission's head office is based in Johannesburg, South Africa, and also has offices throughout our 9 provinces. A person whose rights have been violated can seek recourse by lodging complaints with the Commission. Members of the public may take the following steps in order to lodge an official complaint. By walking at any of our branches throughout the 9 provinces. Sending a fax 011 403 0684. Writing a letter. Hypergraph X2700 out 304. Via telephone at 011 877 3600. The Commission is also accessible via social media platforms. Facebook, South African Human Rights Commission. Twitter, at SAHR Commission. YouTube, South African Human Rights Commission. SAHRC1. Our committed staff are available to assist during office hours. The year 1994 shall forever remain indelible in the minds of all South Africans. Not only did it mark the dawn of a new dispensation, but more significantly, it gave birth to our constitutional democracy. South Africa's constitution is heralded the world over for its universal application and liberal inclusion of all human rights. Moreover, a post-apartheid South Africa ushered in the establishment of Chapter 9 institutions. Chapter 9 institutions, such as the South African Human Rights Commission, serve as vanguard and custodians of our benchmark constitution. Who is the SAHRC? As an independent institution, the South African Human Rights Commission is constitutionally mandated to ensure the attainment and enjoyment of human rights for all South Africans. The Commission and other Chapter 9 institutions were established to uphold and guard our constitutional values. Thus, as a custodian of the Constitution, the Commission is mandated with ensuring the fulfillment of and access to our universal human rights. What does the SAHRC do? The Commission is mandated by the Constitution to ensure the attainment and enjoyment of human rights for all South Africans, irrespective of race, gender, sex, creed, culture, or class. In fulfilling its broad mandate, the Commission works with a vast multitude of communities in and around South Africa. The Commission prides itself in having long-standing and mutually beneficial networks in an endeavor to educate people about their rights. As an independently established body, the Commission also works with government to ensure the delivery of services to its citizens. The Commission's work is not only limited to serving communities, but extends to Parliament, where the Commission works together with policymakers to make and pass laws that improve the lives of our people. The Commission also ensures the right to access to justice, particularly through the court. How does the SAHRC carry out its work? The Commission promotes, protects, and monitors human rights with healthier favor or prejudice. The Commission is concerned mainly with promoting a culture of human rights. Through its advocacy, research, and legal dealings, the Commission ensures the overall promotion, monitoring the observance and protection of human rights respectively. Where can you find them? The Commission's head office is based in Johannesburg, Bulgaria, and also has offices throughout our 9 provinces. A person whose rights have been violated can seek recourse by lodging complaints with the Commission. Members of the public may take the following steps in order to lodge an official complaint. By walking at any of our branches throughout the 9 provinces. Sending a fax 011 403 0684 writing a letter Hyderabad X2700 out via telephone at 011 877 3600. The Commission is also accessible via social media platforms. Facebook, South African Human Rights Commission. Twitter, at SAHR Commission. YouTube, South African Human Rights Commission. SAHRC1. Our committed staff are available to assist during episodes. The year 1994 shall forever remain indelible in the minds of all South Africans. Not only did it mark the dawn of the new dispensation, but more significantly, it gave birth to our constitutional democracy. South Africa's constitution is heralded the world over for its universal application and liberal inclusion of all human rights. Moreover, a post-apartheid South Africa ushered in the establishment of Chapter 9 institutions. Chapter 9 institutions, such as the South African Human Rights Commission, serve as vanguard and custodian of benchmark constitutions. Who is the SAHRC? As an independent institution, the South African Human Rights Commission is constitutionally mandated to ensure the attainment and enjoyment of human rights for all South Africans. The Commission and other Chapter 9 institutions were established to uphold and guard our constitutional values. Thus, as a custodian of the Constitution, the Commission is mandated to ensure the fulfillment of and access to our universal human rights. What does the SAHRC do? The Commission is mandated by the Constitution to ensure the attainment and enjoyment of human rights for all South Africans, irrespective of race, gender, sex, creed, culture, or class. In fulfilling its broad mandate, the Commission works with a vast multitude of communities in and around South Africa. The Commission prides itself in having long-standing and mutually beneficial networks in an endeavor to educate people about their rights. As an independently established body, the Commission also works with government to ensure the delivery of services to its citizens. The Commission's work is not only limited to serving communities, but extends to Parliament, where the Commission works works together with policymakers to make and pass laws that improve the lives of our people. The Commission also ensures the right to access to justice, particularly through the court. How does the SAHRC carry out its work? The Commission promotes, protects, and monitors human rights with healthcare, favor, or prejudice. The Commission is concerned mainly with promoting a culture of human rights. Through its advocacy, research, and legal knowledge, the Commission ensures the overall promotion, monitoring the observance and protection of human rights respectively. Where can you find us? The Commission's head office is based in Johannesburg, South Africa, and also has offices throughout our 9 provinces. A person whose rights have been violated can seek recourse by local complaints with the community. Members of the public may take the following steps in order to launch an official complaint. By walking at any of our branches throughout the 9 provinces. Sending a fax 011 403 0684 writing a letter private bag X2700 out via telephone at 011 877 3600. The Commission is also accessible via social media platforms. Facebook, South African Human Rights Commission. Twitter at SAHR Commission. YouTube, South African Human Rights Commission, SAHRC1. Our committed staff are available to assist during office hours. The year 1994 shall forever remain indelible in the minds of all South Africans. Not only did it mark the dawn of a new dispensation, but more significantly, it gave birth to our constitutional democracy. South Africa's constitution is heralded the world over for its universal application and liberal inclusion of all humans. Moreover, a post-apartheid South Africa ushered in the establishment of Chapter 9 institutions. Chapter 9 institutions, such as the South African Human Rights Commission, serve as vanguard and custodians of our benchmark constitution. Who is the SAHRC? As an independent institution, the South African Human Rights Commission is constitutionally mandated to ensure the attainment and enjoyment of human rights for all South Africans. The Commission and other Chapter 9 institutions were established to uphold and guard our constitutional values. Thus, as a custodian of the Constitution, the Commission is mandated with ensuring the fulfillment of and access to our universal human rights. What does the SAHRC do? The Commission is mandated by the Constitution to ensure the attainment and enjoyment of human rights for all South Africans, irrespective of race, gender, sex, creed, culture, or class. In fulfilling its broad mandate, the Commission works with a vast multitude of communities in and around South Africa. The Commission prides itself in having long-standing and mutually beneficial networks in an endeavor to educate people about their rights. As an independently established body, the Commission also works with government to ensure the delivery of services to its citizens. The Commission's work is not only limited to serving communities, but extends to Parliament, where the Commission works together with policymakers to make and pass laws that improve the lives and our people. The Commission also ensures the right to access to justice, particularly through the court. How does the SAHRC carry out its work? The Commission promotes, protects, and monitors human rights with healthcare, favor, or prejudice. The Commission is concerned mainly with promoting a culture of human rights. Through its advocacy, research, and legal debates, the Commission ensures the overall promotion, monitoring the observance and protection of human rights respectively. Where can you find them? The Commission's head office is based in Johannesburg, South Africa.
Thank you. The 5 minutes is gone. Please, finalize and wrap up all those talks as you come in to settle. Thank you so much. Please come back. Group 2 is ready to report back. Umakondelele is very ready to come and present. Thank you so much as you settle. Colleagues, Kakotieng Buyang. Umakondelele, please come take the podium. Do we have to save something on the?
It's on the, I think I gave it to you, I gave you the stick, right?
No, it wasn't me.
Who had the stick?
I had the
You
stick.
got, yeah, so, but it needs to go onto the screen.
I
Sorry.
don't remember you saving on
Oh,
mine.
sorry, I didn't know. Hello there, you people having tea. We're waiting for you. Crack the whip. Sorry, that was a misunderstanding. Is it there? Oh, hello. Okay. All right. Oof, the light. Good morning, everybody. I assume I can be heard. I've got a very loud voice at the best of times. I'm presenting on behalf of Group 2, and our specific mandate was to look at traditional leaders, the role of traditional leaders. I must say, particularly after Victor's presentation, I feel that's a very, very hard act to follow because he was amazing. What I would like to do is to start with two of my favorite sayings. The one is, never doubt the ability of a small group of people to effect change. In truth, they're the only people who ever have. If you think about that, everybody that's anybody in the world, any group, even the ANC, they started as just a couple of people that were passionate and determined to see change. And I put to you that we can do exactly the same with eradicating tribalism. The other saying is quite radical, but it's so very true. And that is, for evil to succeed, it is enough for good to remain silent. As long as each and every one of us remains silent, evil will succeed. We will never get rid of tribalism. That's my little preach for the day. Okay, getting on to the report back, we listed the role of traditional leaders as being the, first and foremost, the custodian of cultural and traditional values and heritage, to maintain social order, the management and oversight of community funds, for example, fines, proof of residence, letters, service provider rentals like the cell towers that like MTN have to pay a fee every month. And obviously the traditional leader and the council are responsible for that. The role of the traditional leader is also to be neutral, to be unbiased with things like job appointments. It's the traditional leader's role to promote societal harmony and cultural respect, and to inform and advise their constituents about the tradition, cultural values, etc. of their tribe, and to be at the forefront, leading their community and addressing community challenges such as crime and violence. Then we talked about the causes of tribalism. Of course, there's many, and many people have different opinions in this regard. That what we've listed is lack of respect, recognition, and inclusion by government agencies, such as the municipality, ward councillors, civics, and so on. The lack of unity and cooperation between ward councillors, civics, traditional leaders, and the municipality, seeing as unity promotes social harmony and cohesion. So the lack of unity is obviously disruptive. Then we thought protectionism is another reason, another generator, if I can put it that way, of tribalism. It's fear of losing one's own cultural identity through the influx of people from other tribes, hence the resistance towards other tribes. Lack of knowledge, understanding of how to eliminate tribalism, and also, in some cases at least, lack of leadership skills and even inappropriate behavior leading to community disrespect. I know that's a hot topic that a lot of people don't like to even acknowledge that it exists in some cases. Looking at the programs that we'd like to see, first and foremost, workshops for traditional leaders on what they can attend to and what they cannot. For example, GBV and child abuse issues. They also need to be workshopped on the legal rights of foreign nationals, reporting mechanisms if they have problems, human rights issues, how to actually report them, through what channels and how to do it. I think this also, it can be taken in relation to service delivery. You know, we all know about the service delivery protests, and they're so understandable. But the reality is that the service delivery protests tend to disrupt the community more than the people responsible for delivering those services. I think you'll agree there. When the road is blocked because there's no water and has been no water for months, then it's not the Department of Water Affairs that suffers, it's the people living in that same community. So I think it's critical that traditional leaders know and have the agency, have the ability to actually take the steps that need to be taken in reporting failures in service delivery and acting upon them. So they need to know the correct way to report so that there's no need for the local civics to start trashing the roads. They also, they lack the knowledge and understanding of how to, sorry, we've already covered that one. I'm getting a bit carried away. So lack of leadership skills, we're talking about that, and inappropriate behavior leading to community disrespect. Then we was talking about the workshops. Whoa, where's my head today? I only got 5 hours sleep, so forgive me. What they can do and what they can't do, it's important, and they need to know how to do it. Dialogues to build harmony and respect between the traditional leaders, the ward councillors, civics, the state-owned enterprises, and specifically to clarify their respective roles and to see where they overlap and how they can work together to achieve the specific goal that they have, that they share. We need to see information dissemination sessions to inform the general community via meetings, community radio, promoting social cohesion and respect and acceptance of other cultures. And we'd like to see workshops with youths, with youth structures on the role of traditional leaders and why they should respect and support them. We also believe that it needs to get into the school curriculum. That was mentioned also earlier, that it's no good just going to a school or one or two schools and and preaching the gospel to them. It actually needs to form part of the curriculum. The integration of roles between the traditional leaders, the municipality and the government, I think it's essential that children are taught how that works, because very clearly they don't understand it. And we also need to include the impact of tribalism and the need for social cohesion, respect for other cultures, also into the school curriculum. We weren't quite sure of what is included in the life orientation periods, but it's possible that some schools are including it, but I think that we agree it's essential that it forms part of the curriculum for the Department of Basic Education. Then we'd like to see community workshops on to whom and how the community can report dissatisfaction with their traditional leader, to hold them accountable in a respectful manner. I think that we need to stop pretending that nothing's going wrong, because a lot is going wrong. And although we have a lot of really excellent traditional leaders, and although there's undoubtedly still a need for traditional leaders, there are many that are bringing all the others into disrepute. And we need to find ways to stand up and address that, and to hold traditional leaders to account. I'd like to just mention one thing it's bugging me a lot right now, is apparently today 55 million rands from the public purse has been spent on buying new cars for traditional leaders. The big shots, of course, not the people that actually need them, not the chiefs and the gota, the headmen who actually do all the work in the villages, but the big shots that already have half a dozen cars. They're getting more today. One day I'm going to get shot. Please just come to my aid, okay? We also need to somehow institute uniformity in charges between the different traditional leaders. For example, the cost of residencies, getting a residency letter, proof of residency. It's differing everywhere, and undoubtedly that causes a lot of dissatisfaction. I know in some places you pay 20 rand, in other places 40, in other places even 100. So we feel that it's something that should be incorporated into the bylaws for traditional leaders. That was our suggestion anyway, that we have that uniformity. I think also in the training, in the teaching or the workshops or the dialogues held with traditional leaders, it needs to be made very clear to them what the money that they receive from the community is supposed to be used for. Because although in many cases it is used correctly for a lot of the traditional leaders who are not earning fat salaries, so that they can at least move around, but in other cases it's simply going into the pocket of some fat cat so that he can buy himself another BMW. So I think that obviously causes a lot of disrespect. Then we looked at who needs to take these challenges on, and the best of luck to them. Institutions that support constitutional democracy, for example, the Chapter 9s, the CGE, the South African Human Rights Commission, the CRL, government and municipalities, the Council of Traditional Leaders, they should be involved at all times, as should the Department of Cooperative Government, COGTA. I see that they've now added human settlements. I wasn't aware of that. Right, and then also the Department of Basic Education. With regards to the community workshops on how to report dissatisfaction or concerns about their traditional leader, I think obviously it's the Council of Traditional Leaders and the Department of Cooperative Government and Traditional Affairs that needs to be managing that, because it's clearly a very, very sensitive area. And that's it, folks. That's what we talked about, and that's our feelings. Thank you, Tony.
Thank you, ma'am.
Okay, you better take my hand, otherwise I'm going to fall.
No, you won't. Thank you very much. Yesterday, we clapped hands together. Can we do it together now for the three commissions? 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 1. Yes. Thank you, everybody. Now, for all the reports, and thank you that I now have all the 3 reports in writing. Thank you. Even the Commission 1 have submitted already. Thank you so much. And then I'm inviting Advocate Libon Maluleke to do the summation. Immediately after Advocate Maluleke, I'll call in again the provincial manager to not necessarily to thank you, but to somehow add on the summation. And then we will be preparing for the closing remarks. I hope all of you have, those who slept over, have checked out now. If you didn't, please make sure you have checked out. Make sure you have not left anything in the rooms. And those of you who have not signed the register, the attendance register for today, please do. It will help us both, you and us. Thank you so much, Advocate Libon Maluleke. The podium is yours now.
Thank you, Program Director. Before I do the sum up, I want to lay a foundation so that we know that what we were actually talking about and what is it that we have actually discussed. And then we're actually talking about tribalism. And we actually did not say whether there's good or bad tribalism. I wanted just to separate that. And we also acknowledged that tribalism hinder social cohesion. I want us to, even if you don't have the Constitution, just to go to, if you have a chance, you go to chapter 2 of the Constitution. That will be section 31, which speaks about cultural, religious, and linguistic communities. I'm actually interested in subsection 1, when it says persons belonging to a cultural, religious, or linguistic community may not be denied the right with other members of the community, the community to enjoy their culture, practice their religion, use their language, and form, join, and maintain cultural, religious, and linguistic association and other organs of civil society. So we're talking about that it is good to belong to a particular group, but it's wrong to take that if a person does not belong to that particular group, is inferior or is less of a human being. So basically, we're talking about that. we also talk about whether it is correct to use the word tribe, whether it is the correct word. And I see in the Constitution they don't use that. And yesterday I deliberately asked a question so that people will then understand that the word tribalism is not there. And I think the drafters of the Constitution knew that there's ethnic division, but they did not use the word tribalism because tribalism is wrong. It's either you belong to a particular ethnic group, and that we define because of the language and the culture that you practice. But that is tribalism and all that. That's quite an academic thing. And we also discuss the role of traditional leaders in eradicating tribalism. I also want to I don't know if traditional leaders know that in terms of the Constitution, they are actually recognized. If they go to chapter 12, I will not actually read it, but it says the institution, status, and role of traditional leaders according to customary law are recognized, subject to the Constitution. So they have a role to play in order to assist us deal with tribalism. We also have with us here religious leaders, and we had a representative from South African Council of Churches, and we also had Pastor Strike Mangani with what he actually does in order to foster social cohesion, and also in doing so fight tribalism. And we also had our commissions. But what we acknowledge is we acknowledge that tribalism is there. Even our provisional government acknowledges that it is there, and they have programs to deal with it. But they also acknowledge that the programs, it seems, they are not actually doing enough. And they are going to revisit, and they are going to have partnerships with people in order to assist them to deal with this demon of tribalism. Just to go back, the commissioner, Commissioner JB, also indicated that this thing is actually something that was actually planted. So we need ways to uproot it. And the provisional manager indicated that we have a constitution that we have borrowed from a particular country. That constitution is about 200 years old. And we are asking ourselves, is it that what we have that we copied, is it actually producing results, or is it actually taking us forward? That's a question. We had also business. The business was saying to us, there's good and bad tribalism. If we lose our culture, and then we will not be able to use it for business. Where there's tribalism and there's no social cohesion, business suffers. And if business suffers, it means then the nation is going to go hungry. So it is something that must push us, that business must actually have place to do business and not be stopped by tribalism. The IEC indicated that the municipality demarcation board also plays a role. They should, when they do demarcation, have in their minds that they are actually dealing with people of different ethnicity and people who are ruled by different traditional leaders, and try to strike a balance. They should not actually ignite fire. We also learned that we should actually educate our children of the dangers of tribalism. If we don't do that, we will not be able to uproot it. There was an example that was shown by a delegate from CRL Commission that indicated clearly what that can do to children. In a nutshell, it says there's good and bad tribalism. Good tribalism can actually improve the economy. Bad tribalism can take us back and will not have nation building. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Program Director, colleagues, Commissioners Vanyoni, who had been sitting with us here since the day before yesterday. We really appreciate and we feel blessed as the Human Commission here in Limpopo. We really thank you for your support. It's very rare to find a commissioner sitting throughout the process or the meeting or the conference or a dialogue. Normally, they will just come, address us and go. So we must really, really appreciate the support and the respect. The fact that he had been sitting here with us, it's an indication that he really respects all of us. And I believe that this is really, really appreciated. More special from myself. I feel very much blessed and very special. But I know that this is what he do to all the provinces. He will give us support. Whenever we want him to be with us, he will be there for us. So we really appreciate that, Commissioner. Thank you very much. Can we just give him a round of applause? Thank you very much, colleagues. I think so far, I feel that we have managed to come closer to an end of our conference. I was also sitting there listening to the speakers, and I feel that we have made contribution that is going to change or inform our plan as a province. It does not just end up here. It ends up with implementing or executing the resolution that has been made here. We are still going to develop a report for this particular conference. Every one of us who receive invitation will also receive a report. It must be noted that the report that we are going to develop is not an investigative report with findings against anyone. You are invited here to participate and make contribution, not to be held accountable for what you have done, but to share the knowledge so that we as the Human Rights Commission will be able to use the information that you have shared with us to plan. There's no finding against anyone. There is no follow-up letter for anyone to submit information, except that if you have not shared with us the report or the presentation, we can then request you to forward that presentation to us. I'm not sure whether there was an announcement that all the reports that have been presented from commissions should be forwarded to us so that we can have them. When we prepare the report, we'll consider those resolution and proposals. So I think that that is for that purpose. But colleagues, there's one thing that we must note. This is our country. We have no other country to go to. You can't go to the north because you know that you have messed up because you have been accused of xenophobic. Agree, you know. So you can't go to the north, you can't go to the east, you can't go to the west. There is ocean this side. So I'm scared that if we mess up here in this country, we'll have nowhere to go. So we are here, this is the place where we must fight to make sure that this country works. We are not going to allow this country to collapse. We all belong here. And sometimes we must acknowledge that with these different views that we are receiving, we as the Human Rights Commission, we don't take them for granted. That's why we spend money to be here, to ensure that all of us make contribution. It is not easy to select the stakeholders to attend the conference when you have a limited number of people to attend. It's not easy. And one of the issue that we have been facing in this province is that it looks like people, other institutions, when they select the delegates to attend conference, they will pick up people who are more influential, who do not have even the sense of what is happening on the ground. And you know what will happen? You invite somebody on top there. That person does not even have a clue of what is happening on the ground. And all of a sudden, that person is going to ask somebody to prepare a presentation, to come and do a presentation here. So here we believe that we identify people who are very direct and working with the community and understand. So please, if you feel that we have left somebody out, it was not by omission, it was deliberately so. Other people who are sitting here, we invited them individually because we have activists here who are on their own right, or at their own right, they are able to execute and fight for human rights with or without us as the South African Human Rights Commission. You don't exist. Some of you are working individually to serve the people without Human Rights Commission. So we recognize you. We have our champions here who are sitting. Where are the champions? If maybe you can raise up your hands. These are the champions who are coming from different areas. We find them, we didn't produce them. We find them working with the community, and we requested them to join us so that they can assist us to reach out to the people. And they voluntarily agreed to be champions. So we are really, really appreciating your time. Can we also give them a round of applause? So they are coming from different districts. We have some who are coming from Bembe. We have some who are coming from, they've introduced themselves at least yesterday. So we really appreciate their support. And the space for human rights champions is still available. But we do vet you if you want to join if you want to be a champion, because we don't want to be misrepresented. We'll check your background, your profile, and then we decide whether this person is suitable. So we have plus or minus 40 something people who are part and parcel of our program of champions. So, but we scrutinize, we don't just accept everyone. So you must not have a record of being abusive, even to your family, not to anyone. To your family, we check if, because sometimes you appoint somebody who's very much abusive or who's chauvinistic, who does not respect women, who is always violating the rights of children. So we vet our people to make sure that we appoint the right people. So we are saying to you, thank you very much. The journey starts here to deal with tribalism. Don't be scared to speak out. We will speak out as the Human Rights Commission, and we'll make sure that we work with you to eradicate completely this demon of racism. The differences that are there, to me, is a blessing. That yes, I thought maybe there will be festival of chess. So unfortunately, there was no festival of chess. And I really appreciate that no one, we didn't see it happening. But I was expecting it. I wanted to, when you push the button too far, I want that, talk about it. Even if you say something that somebody does not like it, say it, because we want that. Don't be shy away to say that this is what is happening and this is the sorry. If you feel that Victor Liwe now problem, wrong. So the moment you tell me that I'm wrong, I'm going to learn. I told you from day one that we don't know everything. People do not know what they do not know. And you can only realize that you do not know when you learn from others that, oh, I didn't know this. And don't think that you know everything. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Bumabidula. Can I then invite Commissioner JB Swanyoni to come give the closing remarks and take us through the signing of the pledge. You can see the pledge has been up there the whole day. So surely you've been reading and internalizing what is on the pledge. So Commissioner Swanyoni is coming to give the closing remarks and also take us through the signing of the pledge. And then we all sign. And like the PMF said, we're still inviting inputs so that we include everything in the report that we're going to prepare. Commissioner?
Is it still Nimashironi? Okay, thank you. I'm laughing with the program director because she is saying she's not pulling me up because yesterday, as I was mounting the stage, she pulled me out by the hand, and then I objected. I say, "Why do you pull me up?" And then she just said, "No, I'm just helping you to come up the podium." And greetings to everyone in this conference. And then, Mr. Mabidula, you touched me when you said you appreciated that I came to attend this, and then I've been sitting throughout the conference since it started. But without any waste of time, I will like to tell you that it reminded me of our struggle days. If it was during those days, I would come up here by singing some of the freedom songs which we were saying, along Limpopo, freedom is coming. 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 And then we used to go on and say, go tell Botha, freedom is coming. Go tell Foster, freedom is coming. Go tell Malan, freedom is coming. Along Limpopo, freedom is coming. Botha was the Prime Minister of South Africa. And B.J. Foster was the Minister of Justice, although there was no justice in South Africa. You know, talking about no justice in South Africa, I was once told that in Lesotho, there was a Minister of Ocean and Fisheries. And then he was confronted and asked, but Lesotho is landlocked. There's no ocean, there are no fishes. Why are you a Minister of Ocean and Fisheries? He says, similarly in South Africa, there is no justice, but there is a Minister of Justice. And then Magnus Malan was the Minister of Defense, and people were brave to sing and scold him. All I'm doing here is just to give some comment and some observations since I came here. I was impressed when I realized that this conference was organized in partnership, the Human Rights Commission and the University of Venda, the UniVen. And let me just say that two people have already confirmed that they remember that I was in UniVen in 2017 or 2017 when I started my term my 7-year term as a commissioner. Thank you very much to say in our group 3, when we were making some inputs, I was talking about the stakeholders that needs to be part and parcel in trying to eradicate tribalism. And then as this morning, I immediately remembered that I forgot to say there are 2 universities here in this province, both Univen as well as Limpopo universities should also be brought on board. And we like to thank, and we're impressed by the various government departments who are here, the IEC, the CRL Commission, which is always known as the Commission with a long wait, and the police. We are safe. We are safe when the police are also with us, in view of the current high crime and the like. And then Mahoshi, we say thank you very much. The Institution of Traditional Leaders. When I was part of the NIPILA, National Institute for Public Interest Law and Research, we had a program. It was led by Mr. or Honorable Matole Mutsecha. And then we were once here in Limpopo, we were addressing the problem of, I won't say the problem, but the misunderstanding between who allocates stands. Was it the councillors? Was it the municipalities? Or was it Mahoshi? And then we resolved that. And then we resolved that because we indicated to the councillors to say they should not be confronting the traditional leaders, because the institution of traditional leadership is respected here in South Africa. And then I also omitted yesterday when I was talking to say an example where people work together irrespective of tribalism is when there was a unit of MK Umkhonto Wesizwe in honor of Peter Nchabeleng of Appel. There was a Nchabeleng unit of MK, and it stretched from what was known as the Northern Transvaal through Kwandebele, Alexandra, as well as Soweto. And then it consisted of many people who were recruited to be part and parcel of it. One of them was Khoshi Muhlame III, Pitos Matebe of Ntwane. And then there was also Ephraim Mukhale. Marble Hall has been named after him. He was known as Porohotlo. He used to say, Shabakale Rumo, Tibaka Chata. In other words, you step with an arrow, Konto Sizwe, and then you block with the Freedom Charter. And then, without any further ado, I will also want to say it is unfortunate that nowadays, when you look at the way in which the provinces were demarcated, it had some resemblance of which tribes were in a particular region. Some tribes were in one region and other tribes were in another region. But we should forget about that. The Municipal Demarcation Board, MDB, have got factors that they consider whenever they demarcate either municipalities or when they demarcate the provinces. They don't look at the tribe, but unfortunately, because the effect of the old policies resulted in the sense that people of a certain ethnic group or tribe even today found themselves where they are. And some of them, they were evicted. And after the evictions, there were even areas which were called black spots, like about Fontaine, which were taken away and pushed into the Bantustans, into the Pundus, into the what was intended to be the black states, which failed. We must applaud that it didn't succeed, because the intention of the previous government was to deprive the people of South Africa of their citizenship and put them into what was supposed to be the black states, which were not recognized by other countries, except it was only recognized by the central government of South Africa. And I want to re-emphasize the issue of Collins Chabane. And I must also mention that I served in parliament with Collins Chabane. I think he is turning in his grave when he knows that there are some misunderstanding as to what was the reason for establishing that municipality and why it was named after him. But Umabidula explained it in very simple words, understandable words, to say it was not based on tribalism. It was because of the lack of service delivery. As the Human Rights Commission, whenever we receive a complaint, whenever a complaint is lodged, we investigate, we assess, and then only thereafter we make a finding to say what is this type of a complaint? What are the root causes of the complaint? And I must say, as I'm standing here, the South African Human Rights Commission found that it was not tribalism, but it was due to lack of service delivery. On a light note, I can say I can also put not only my hand, but also my neck on the block to say it was not tribalism. It was a lack of service delivery. We have been told that tribalism, on the one hand, can be used in a good way, and on another hand, it may be misused, unfortunately. We heard the presentation from the DRC, Democratic Republic of Congo, the issue between the Tutsi and Bahutu, as well as Batwa. And then, but in South Africa, we were very cautious and very careful that it should not be used to discriminate against other people. You may like to say, I'm a proud Zulu, I'm a proud Ndebele, I'm a proud Venda, etc., etc. There is no problem. There is no problem about that. And I also wish also that the people of Ntwane should maybe investigate and try to assess deeply why they were demarcated into Limpopo. Because from time to time, you hear that they hold meetings and they insist that they want to be in Mpumalanga because they are next to Loskop Dam, and some of them are working in Wheatbank, others are working in Middleburg. And then as a result thereof, on political basis, we also heard that there was a Mpumalanga party that was formed, which was trying to forcefully take the Ntwane area into Mpumalanga, but because of there must be scientific factors before a place is demarcated from one province into another. You must recall that when KwaNdebele opted for independence, Ntwane was incorporated into KwaNdebele. And then the Ntwane community fought, and then they took the matter to court. And it went up to the appellate division, the then appellate division, which is the Supreme Court of Appeal, the SCA today. And then the appellate division was saying, even if when the previous government was forming the homelands based on ethnic groups, but the people of Ntwane were not part of KwaNdebele. And then before I do the formal calling for the pledge, I want to say I wish you a Merry Christmas and a prosperous New Year as we are coming to the end of the year. And then also to say the right to vote is part of the rights that are enshrined in the Constitution. Everybody who's here, Mahoshi, faith-based organizations, please encourage people, more especially the youth, to say they must exercise this right, because this right to vote was not there before 1994. Some people, children left their homes. They went to countries where their fathers did not know where they are. Some went to fight for the country. Others went to further their studies. Some men left their wives and children at home to fight for the liberation of this country. And also some women went out and picked up their arms and fight for freedom. And some of those freedom was the right to vote. And we are within 16 days of activism for no violence against women and children. Mr. Mabidula, I must tell you that my daughter was raped and murdered by her former boyfriend. And the case is appearing before the Cape High Court today on the 30th of November. The incident took place in July 2019. The matter has been dragging since then up until now. And then I was asking the prosecution whether today is it going to be finalized or not. And very late I was told that it was not going to be finalized. So I said I would rather come and honor the invitation of this conference than to go to Cape Town just for a postponement. I'm sorry to talk about something that is not very good news, but let me also tell you about something that is not good news. I'm smiling because I say this is not the end. I was appointed in from January 2017 for a 7-year term. And then people were talking about unemployment. 103 people were nominated for the position to close 6 vacancies. And I was fortunate to be shortlisted amongst the 13 people. I was interviewed. I did my level best to say what have I done through the length and breadth of the country. This morning, the chairperson of the Human Rights Commission, Professor Bongani Majola, called me. You saw when I went up. And then he told me that he started by himself to say he did not make it. He has not been successful to be reappointed to another 7-year term. And then thereafter, he also said Commissioner Andre Kam was also not successful. And then he said, also you, Commissioner Sibanyoni, you were not successful. Only Commissioner Chris Nissen has been successful to be nominated and motivated to be the new chairperson of the Human Rights Commission with effect from 2024. So I felt that maybe it's necessary that I must share this to say maybe you are seeing me for the last time in my capacity as a commissioner of the South African Human Rights Commission. I have run the race. I've done everything what I thought needs to be done. I said to the chairperson in response, this is not the end of the world. I will continue with my law practice in Bronkhorstspruit. Thank you very much. It will be unfortunate if I say my contact number is 083-286-3017. If you've got someone in Bronkhorstspruit who are in trouble, I'll be pleased to assist that person next year. So what we are going to be doing now, it's a process of signing the pledge. The pledge is based on the shine. I did mention the purpose of the shine yesterday to say that as the Human Rights Commission, we learned from what happened in July 2021 unrest, which affected KZN as well as part of Gauteng. And then the Human Rights Commission said there needs to be, SHINE is an acronym for social harmony through national effort. And then we have a pledge, which we translated it into various languages. And then today we are going to formally sign the pledge. The program director will assist me to say who must be called upon to sign the pledge, or the provincial manager. But then it is now the time. Now is the time. Kinako. Somebody saw the name Kinako and then he read it as Kinako instead of Kinako. Right, shall we show the pledge and call upon the people to sign it? Okay, let me just for record purpose read it. It says, I pledge to promote human rights through social cohesion against tribalism. I repeat, I pledge to promote human rights through social cohesion against tribalism. Thank you. A provincial manager, they also say, please come closer. And then for the official signing of the pledge. Bompapudi is a joint effort of all stakeholders to come and sign this pledge that we are pledging to promote human rights through social cohesion against tribalism. Let me be the first to sign.
Oh, yes.
There is my $10 signature. Shall we also applaud for her? Can we also applaud for the provincial manager? Can we applaud for her, please? Please come forward and sign the pledge. Mutendele, am I pronouncing it correctly? Kondelele, Kondelele, all right.
Never give up.
Oh, okay. Applaud for her, applaud for her. And the Univen student. And for Raidani, I saw him saying, going down, you must teach me how to do it. All of you, please feel free to come and take the pen and sign.
Mabidula.
Don't forget, my dear. Thank you so much.
Re a leboga. Bafundisi, ni kombela ku ri mi ta yi pfalela hi xikhongelo leswiya mi nga vula ku ri mi ta rhandza ku khongela. Oh, okay, before mi khongela bafundisi, vayimeri va mfumo wa Limpopo va lava ku ta vulavula na n'wina hi ti-commitment timbirhi tinharhu leti va nga ta teka kusuka laha.
Ke a leboga. Ke rata the way you promoting indigenous languages in the province. I thought after the 3 presentations from the commissions we'll have time to, but it's okay. Would like to make a commitment. Where's my provincial manager? Because that signature. So the first commitment that we'd like to make is in relation to commission 1. They indicated it's 3. They indicated that there's an area where there are still challenges of tribalism, and they mentioned programs. And the first program that they mentioned, Kia's community conversations, would like to take part in that and make it happen at least by the end, before the end of the financial year. Let's sit together, let's plan for it through our provincial office, and let's go there. I think we'll partner with the Department of Education. I was having conversations with them because that's what we do in creating a platform for community conversations, taking education along, teaching the community about national symbols, and doing theater dramas about, eradication of tribalism through theater, through other cultural activities. So we hereby commit the first program, and my colleague, and more programs. I think me and you, we need to shake hands before yes, because more must come from us. I hereby commit. I love what you do. I think this has been great. Thank you very much. I love what he has done, Commissioner. I know this breaks protocol, but this is good. We are running short of platforms of this nature. And he manages to do that. It's not for the first time that he's doing it. Even, the past year, I think you've started this year, he's always creating platforms for us as government to have conversations with other structures. And this time, he had pushed it to another level. He brought traditional authorities in the house. So I think this is good work done. Thanks. Thank you so much, my colleague.
Yeah, thank you very much. But behind every successful manager, there is a team. I can't completely, this is the team Limpopo. We are very few, but sometimes we don't sleep. So, but there's only one. I always say to my colleagues that, you know what, when I commit myself that I'm going to do something, I'm not going to do it. You know how to do it. Now I'm just there to sign. My role was just to sign the document. Everything, choosing the venue, some of them were fighting each other. I said, no, let us do it, guys. We can. Let us not think about any other thing. But the team is very small. Maybe we'll be, if we motivate, there might be maybe a decision to increase the capacity, but we are doing our best. We are very few, and we'll keep doing the right thing all the time. Thank you. The champions again, hey, she's reminding me because it's her baby. She's the one, when we talk about champions, you know that the woman behind this monkey, she's the one who's facilitating everything. And I'm happy to announce also that I think amongst all the provincial offices, we are the one who have the highest number from the beginning of this project. We are the ones who have the highest number of champions. Others are left with 10. Others are left with very few. But Limpopo is having more than 40 to 50. So it's because of her.
Thank you very much. Vafundisi kabadenge no vadebari rabelere. Iko fara zwavhuḓi.
Okay.
Enkomu sinene. Let us bow our heads in prayer as we thank God for being with us. Good Lord and the loving God, our source of love and our source of light, bless us as we end this beautiful, vital, strategic conference that we had in the previous days. God, we want to give you thanks and glory because it is our privilege that we have given us. You have given us wisdom, and we want to pray more that God, you can give us more confidence to discover and explore our talents to the best of our abilities. As we're about to depart to different destinations where you have given us, we pray for the traveling mercies. Hi kombela wena ku hi hlayisa etindleleni. Hi ri karhi wena hosi hi khongela nakambe, hi khongelela our leaders whom you have chosen to lead this Human Rights Commission. Here is our father, our brother, Advocate Sibanyoni, who bid farewell to us. God, we pray for him and his family for the time that they are going through, and want to pray more for this nation because we know that the scourge of gender-based violence is amongst us. But we want to pray, God, again for this tribalism, that you have given us space to talk about it. We know that when we give glory to you, you will also give glory to us. God, we pray for the food that we're about to receive. May you bless it and bless each one of us. You bless our works wherever we go, wherever we touch. Let your glory be with us. May the glory of you, God, and the fellowship of the Holy Spirit and the love of our Lord Jesus Christ abide amongst all of us. In the wonderful name of our Lord Jesus, we pray. Amen. God bless you.
Food is served at the restaurant. Thank you very much. Mudzimu abashudufadzi.